I'll have an opportunity to.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, you don't get over it.
All right, today is Tuesday, July 29th, 2025. I'm going to call the meeting of the Minnesota Supervised Release Board to order. And we'll start with a roll call for members. Member Christine Bray.
Here.
Member Joe Earhart.
Here.
Member Andrew Larson.
Here.
Member Cheryl Ramstead.
Here.
Paul Schnell is here. Let the record reflect that the first case we're going to be doing here is a standard parole case. And so the juvenile experts, Don Strufert and Jody Nelson are here, but they are not going to be involved in this first hearing. And so with that, I'll turn this over to Mr. Carlson to call the first case.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good morning, everyone. I am Andrew Carlson. I'm the Assistant Director of the Hearings and Release Unit. We're here today to review Mr. Gary Cooper, who is present and participating via video from the Minnesota Correctional Facility in Lino Lakes. It's my understanding that Mr. Cooper's friend and advocate, Mr. Coley Gates, is also present and participating by video. Welcome, Mr. Gates. Thank you for participating and appreciate your efforts today. Here with us at the Central Office DOC is, of course, our Commissioner, Mr. Paul Schnell, and he's also the Chair of the Supervised Release Board, along with members Cheryl Ramstead, Christine Bray, Joe Earhart, and member Andrew Larson is participating by video. Our records indicate that on March 1st, 1995, in the city of Minneapolis, Minnesota, police responded to a call of shots fired. Upon arrival, officers observed a man, later identified as Gregory Thane Peterson, lying dead or dying in the street. Through investigation, it was learned that Mr. Peterson and Mr. Gary Cooper were involved in an altercation, and witnesses observed Mr. Cooper shoot Mr. Peterson multiple times, causing the death of Mr. Peterson. On February 15th, 1996, in Hennepin County District Court, Mr. Cooper was convicted of first-degree murder, and in accordance with Minnesota Criminal Code, Mr. Cooper was committed to serve a 30-year minimum life sentence. Mr. Cooper has served approximately 30 years of his life sentence, and he became eligible for parole on this life sentence on July 27th, 2025. Mr. Cooper has had one prior review of his life sentence, and today's review is his first by the Supervised Release Board. I turn this matter over to the board. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Cooper. How are you today?
Okay. George.
All right, good. I'd like to start off by asking you to talk with the board about what it is you'd like to see happen as a result of today's meeting.
I would like to be paroled. To assisted living or a home where I can be cared for.
And what makes you feel you're ready?
I've done all the directives that you asked. I have did a lot of programming. I've learned more about myself. I have a lot of positive people around me than I had 30 years ago. And I'm ready to give back.
So can you talk a little bit about the harm you caused?
Um, I've caused a lot of harm. I've caused Gregory's family harm, my community, my family, those that had to search for me on the case. I've caused a lot of harm, so I have a lot to do to give back.
In what ways do you think you caused harm to Gregory's family?
Um, excuse me. He's not there no more for his family to lean on. They probably miss him on holidays, birthdays, um, not being able to walk his kids to school if he had children. Um, and the list goes on. He could have been an advocate for the community.
What have you what programs or things that have you been involved with that has been most beneficial for you?
Um, anger management, uh, changing lifestyles, uh, decision points, uh, Atlantis.
So, but just to interrupt just quickly, can you describe a little bit about like what about these programs was most beneficial, what you learned or what you gained from them?
Well, in Atlantis, that's why I first started thinking that I can have fun without drugs and alcohol. Because during that program, I did 13 months in that program, and I was the coordinator 2 years after I graduated from that program. And it gives me joy to know that people would come and ask me questions about something that they were going through.
And how about anger management? What did you learn from anger management?
I learned that my way is not always the right way, and being angry is two parts to being angry because someone else could be angry at you. And if you don't know how to calm yourself down when you get that notion in you, when your chest tense up or your hands start to sweat, you need to calm yourself down and find a way out of there without violence.
And in terms of like the cognitive skills programs, like I think you said, did you say changing uh, which cog program did you participate in?
Changing lifestyles.
Yeah, what was that?
Changing lifestyles is being able to see um, both sides of a situation.
And then I note that you have also completed decision points.
Yes, we look at high risk situations and then we come together as 7 to 8 guys. We come together and find the best decision where no one's get hurt.
So as you think about, well, let me just go back a bit. Can you walk through what happened on the date of your life sentence prime? What happened between you and um, Mr. Peterson?
Um, I was at a girlfriend's house. He came, knocked on the door. She was in the back room with some friends, and I looked out the window and I told her somebody was at the door for her. She came and answered the door. He asked, "Do you want me to say what he said?"
Yeah, you can say what he said.
He said, "Who was that little punk motherfucker that just looked out the window?" He could have answered the door. And then she told him he had to leave, that I was her boyfriend. And he kept talking to her. So I came to the door and said, "Can you please leave? She asked you to leave." And he said, "Oh, you got a gun? I'm gonna beat your little bitch ass and take your gun." Then he swung around her with a bottle. He hit me in the face with the bottle. I pushed her out the way and pushed him out the door. I proceeded out the door behind him and I told him to leave because I didn't want to do nothing to him. He swung the bottle again and I started shooting at his legs.
And then what happened?
And I don't really remember. They said I went into a seizure.
At the time of the offense, were you facing charges in another case?
No,
No. Had you had previous offenses?
yes.
What were they?
Uh, I went to prison for attempt murder, armed robbery, and aggravated battery. Excuse me, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
You talking about my whole history or just
No,
what I've been?
I think that you just had on this issue around the question I have around the fact that you
Okay.
had been sentenced before for attempted murder, right?
Yes. And I think I wrote you in my first hearing about that. I did the time for a crime that I didn't do. I was with my mother when the shots was fired, a whole block and a half later away. And I went to prison for, I served that time. And there's no reason for me to lie about it.
Okay. If you were struggling, what would people around you notice? What would that look like?
Me being quiet. Me being standoffish, uh, not wanting to be around anybody.
Okay. And you had talked about the fact that, you would like to be paroled and you'd like to go to some type of supportive living setting and that kind of a thing. So what do you envision your time looking like if you were to be granted parole?
Uh, when I'm allowed to, I would want to go to schools and speak and tell my story in boys and girls clubs, um, places where youth are, to try and help the youth, because I also know that I hid my hurt, and that's why a lot of people didn't know that I was hurting. And I act out when I was hurting, and when people did know, I would just be like, "Man, that's not right. I don't want to hear that." But I have a different support system around me now. The people that around me now care about me. The people that was around me then, they care about me.
So you think that it's that support system that would help you be successful, and you would occupy your time focused on trying to talk with young people or whatever. What 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 lesson would you impart to them?
Um, there's something wrong, because sometimes when kids act out, something's wrong at home. And I would tell them, don't go by that. What happens in this house stays in this house. Because if you're being hurt, then you need to let someone know. And don't wind up being like me, hurting somebody and getting your life taken away from you.
So you believe that um, it was because of the harm that you experienced, or um, that ultimately you were involved in this offense? Is that what I'm hearing, or can you
Not
explain
just
that?
not just this offense. It's because when you become old enough, you should know right from wrong. And but it does start at an early age.
So, how would you characterize or describe the change that you made between the time of this offense and today?
Well, today, I know how to ask for help. I know asking for help don't make you weak. Uh, I mentor a lot of people that's not even my mentees, just walk up and ask me, and I'm able to help them. And I get a joy out of seeing people understand what I'm saying to them and change their life. That's one of the biggest things that I have learned, is helping people. Being able to tell a person, no, man, don't do that. That's not cool. You're gonna end up in sick, and you're gonna wind up doing more time. So I would tell a kid on the street, look, you don't want to go do 30 years, 40 years in prison or natural life. Or if I see a kid that I know he really a school kid, and like, hey, go to school. get your education. There's nothing wrong with being a school kid.
And can you just describe,
Excuse
you
me.
talk about the importance of that type of feedback and advice, sharing that kind of advice with young people. How do you envision that would be received by young people?
Well, it's received well in here. Some take it, some don't. If I could save one, I've done my job.
Okay.
Some of them are like I was when I was young. Oh, I don't want to hear that stuff.
All right. I'd like to turn to Mr. Gates here and just ask him to weigh in terms of his thoughts around you and his knowledge of you and so forth. And then we'll open this up to the board to ask questions of either you or Mr. Gates. So, Mr. Gates, you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Thanks. I just want to open the floor to you to provide your thoughts.
Okay. I appreciate the opportunity. Hello to everybody that's there and present. I understand that this is a serious situation and it involves not just Mr. Cooper, but the victim and his family and friends. One thing I could say is I came to speak on his behalf because I believe he's ready for the opportunity. I don't feel like y'all will be taking a chance on him because the chance is for those who haven't put in the work. I've known Mr. Cooper for over 30 years now. I lived with him in multiple units for years, so I can speak to his transformation. I've seen his struggles, I've seen his shortcomings, but I've also seen him overcome them. I've seen him press forward in spite of. Like he could have used every excuse to give up and tap out, but he didn't. Whether it be his health, whether it be the denials, or whether it just be being incarcerated, which is hard in itself. In spite of all that, he still pressed and he still gave of himself. Now, I'm not stating he's been perfect because I know he hasn't, but in spite of everything he's faced, he still moved forward. And I believe that this opportunity, if granted, that he will be successful. I believe that the opportunity to transfer into another environment and exercise the gifts and skills that he's been building will be beneficial for himself, for his family, and for whatever community he decides to join. I know Mr. Cooper is a man of few words. He's always been that way, but he means what he says. And if anybody has dealt with him in the system, then they know he's not gonna BS. He's gonna tell you how he feels. So when he sits before you, I know he's not lying. He's telling you exactly how he feels, what he's learned, and where he's been. And I would just ask that the board would take that in consideration, just all the things, the hurdles that he's overcome. And not that he's earned his freedom, because I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he's built himself for the opportunity.
Thank you for that. Appreciate you being here and appreciate you providing support to Mr. Cooper. With that, I'm going to open the floor and the discussion to members of the board for any questions of either Mr. Cooper or Mr. Gates.
Mr. Cooper, I have a question. I'm not sure I understood you. when you were telling us about the offense just now. So here's what I think I heard, and please correct me if I got it wrong, that after you were in the house, you had an altercation of sorts with Peterson, you shot him in the legs, and then you were told you had a seizure and you don't remember what happened after that. Is that correct? Or did I?
They said that I left. They said I ran in the house, threw the gun, and had a seizure. I don't remember having a seizure. I just remember leaving, like, I guess the police was still there when I left.
So did
But
you
saying
kill?
having a seizure, that's what they said. That's in my report.
Okay, I think what I'm trying to understand is, did you kill Mr. Peterson?
Yes, I am responsible for Mr. Peterson's
Okay.
death.
Thank you.
Mr. Cooper, I have
Yes,
a
ma'am.
couple of questions. It's an important part of true change and genuine remorse is talking about acknowledging every aspect of the offense. And you described it as first as the victim attempted to hit you in the face with a bottle. And you also said at some point that he did hit you in the face with a bottle. Is that correct?
I said, he rushed around Lena. First he said, oh, you have a gun. I'm gonna kick your ass and take your gun. He rushed around Lena and hit me in the face with the bottle. I pushed Lena out the way and pushed him out the door and stepped outside behind him and said, go on and leave because I don't want to do nothing to you. As he tried to hit me again as I was backing up, and that's when I started to shoot him in the legs.
And at one point you described it as self-defense. Do you still believe that was self-defense? A bottle
No.
against a gun?
No, that the bottle is really, it's not considered as a weapon towards a gun.
How many times did you shoot him?
I really don't. They had different, I don't know how many times he was hit because they had different numbers in the report. One report says 9, 12, 14, and 15 in the report. So I don't know. I know all I remember is that I was just shooting.
Had you ever shot at anyone before?
No, not, I shot at animals, not a person.
Why would you shoot more than once?
I don't even know.
And you stated at some point, it may have been in your report as opposed to right now, that it was unintentional homicide. Is that what you believe, that it was unintentional, that you would shoot at a person repeatedly and not intend to kill them?
No. I believe that if you point a gun at anyone, whether to shoot or harm, you're wrong, because pointing a loaded gun and pulling the trigger is gonna lead to one of those two. Great bodily harm or death.
So you
I
no
did
longer,
not believe that. I did not believe that in the beginning. But I know that to be true from the work I've done.
okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Mr. Cooper, I had one follow-up question, kind of along the same lines that both of my colleagues asked. Do you have a diagnosed seizure disorder?
I was born with epilepsy and
Okay.
asthmatic.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I didn't see that, or I don't recall reading that in your report. So the other question I have, you mentioned that you know, if you were released, you've got a lot of pro-social people that you could potentially rely on in the community. Like, who would some of those people be out of curiosity?
Uh, my nephew, Reverend Tyrone Williams, uh, Tito Campbell from RJ, Cody, my kids. My kids have already told me that, Dad, you owe us. So, Dave and Carol Bunker, who have been supporters of mine uh, for like 20 years or more. They were bought me books, used to come see me before they retired. I'm sure there's more I just can't think of right now.
Okay. My next question is, if I understood it correctly, your health issues probably limit your ability to potentially work in the community. Is that right? So are you thinking you'd probably need to get on some sort of Social Security to support yourself?
Yeah, disability. I have heart problems. Um, I'm in and out the ER a lot. So, yeah, I would need disability. If I could find a management job, I probably could manage certain jobs, but I can't stand for long, as I have a walker to walk with.
Okay. Do you have a sense of, so like if you applied for disability and you were awarded, like do you have a sense of how much that is and like what you would need to do to really kind of manage that, budgetarily and cost of living and just all those sorts of things? Do you have you kind of done that level of research?
No, not yet.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate the clarification.
Mr. Cooper, when did you finish Atlantis?
Uh, 2007, October 22nd, 2017.
And what's your participation been since then in Alcoholics Anonymous or post-treatment services?
I just finished can't think of it's a Celebrate Recovery and PFA.
The record reflects that you were advised to get a community sponsor for AA. Have you done that?
No, I've called the sponsors, but they haven't replied.
How many sponsors or how did you get a hold of those people?
I was
Or
given
try
a
to-
list. I was given a list.
And how many did you call?
I called about 4 or 5 of them.
And none of them returned the calls.
No, Amicus didn't either. Amicus asked for my medical records. I sent my medication records. I sent it to them and they never replied.
How long ago did you make those calls to try to find an AA sponsor?
Like probably 60 days to this hearing.
The record also shows that you wanted to be paroled to live with some people in the community, but the recommendation is for assisted living, specifically for medication management, because there's been an issue with respect to, I think it was with respect to your having eaten enough to take some of your medication, and the thought was that you needed somebody to be in charge of managing your medication. Do you agree with that?
Yes, ma'am.
And it also mentioned that you would need some help with your activities of daily living, or at least access to a shower, et cetera. Are there other limitations that you have as far as daily living?
No, ma'am, just, they said a shower chair, maybe, wheelchair accessible. I do like 7 stairs in my unit now.
I'm sorry, what, I didn't understand that.
I can go up like seven stairs, cause I do 7 stairs in the unit that I live in right now.
Thank you for clarifying that. You mentioned earlier something about employment. Are you thinking that you're capable of some employment or work release?
I at this time, no, but I would like to be a manager doing drywall. They told me that I wouldn't be able to do drywall myself, but I can show people how to do it.
You mentioned graduating from Prison Fellowship Academy, is that right?
Yes, I've been a mentor there for 5 years.
I think you mentioned that in the context of follow-up on your treatment. Do they do chemical dependency treatment through PFA?
They do celebrate recovery on Monday nights. It's an alcohol, it's an alcohol program inside of PFA that they do on Monday nights.
Also, I understand you've been working with a mental health professional, is that correct?
Yes,
How many times a week have you met with that mental health professional?
well, before the hearing, I was seeing Dr. Davis once a week, but normally it's twice a month.
And how did you think that was helping you? What did you think it was helping you with?
Helping me to calm down, to listen, to trust what people say.
Are you on any medication for calming down at the present time?
I am on a I am on a mood altering, excuse me, mood swing medication.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cooper. I have one more question, Mr. Cooper. Have you met with a medical release planner?
Marissa, I think her name is. I haven't met with her, but I met with the one that they have here, Jeanette Powers.
And have you been working with her on a release plan?
They said that they had to wait till after I see y'all you guys to really make a decision on what they was gonna do, how they would proceed in my case.
Thank you.
I just need a little more clarification on a couple of things, Mr. Cooper. Your report says that you have worked to the extent possible, doing the type of work suited to your ability. What type of work have you been doing there at Lino Lakes?
Cleaning microwaves and wiping the counters down in the kitchen in my unit.
Okay, so you do that regularly?
Yeah, every night.
Okay. And one more question about the victim. Were you acquainted prior to the evening that he knocked on the door and you shot him?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Actually, in your report, it says that he was an acquaintance, but you're saying he was a stranger to
No,
you.
ma'am. That no.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cooper, I was looking at the most recent comprehensive risk assessment. Did you have a chance to look at that after it was done?
Yes, sir.
There was a notation in that record about the fact that when you discuss the life sentence crime with the psychologist, you were asked the question about if you were acting in self-defense, and the record notes that I did not initiate the fighting, but I'm not going to let him kill me. And the record further goes on to talk about the fact that you acknowledge that you are responsible for the victim's death, and asserted that you shouldn't have taken another person's life. But you indicated that for years you did not believe there were alternatives for how you responded to that situation. But over the course of time, you did identify other options. And I think you went on to kind of describe the fact that, that when it came to the question of fairness of your sentence, that it would have been more appropriate for you to be charged with a wholly different crime. And is it your contention that the life sentence that was imposed was not fair?
The life sentence is the law in the state of Minnesota for murder. And that's what I had to get. There's no other way around that. The life sentence.
Well, there would be if you were charged with or convicted of unintentional homicide. So was the charge, in your view, appropriate?
Yes.
What changed between now and when you talked to the psychologist? Because that was not kind of what was indicated at that time.
It's not that what changed. It's that knowing the system is like shooting a person multiple times is first-degree murder. It's not what happened then. I might have misspoke when I was talking to her, or shooting a person, like I told her, pointing a gun at somebody, a loaded gun, period, is going to resort to something. And it didn't resort to body harm, it resorted to murder. So it had to be first-degree murder. It could have been a lesser charge, like you said, but it wasn't.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have additional questions? All right, hearing none. Mr. Cooper, before the board begins discussion and deliberation about the next steps, I want to briefly open the floor to you for any final comment prior to deliberation.
I just want to say thank y'all for being here and considering me to have a chance. I want to say again to the family and loved ones of Greg Peterson that I'm totally sorry. It hurts because of the question that she asked me, and I saw that when they said that we was acquaintances, and that's what hurt me the most, is that I didn't know him, and I took his life, and I can't undo that.
Can I I'm going to just ask one other question just because I just feel like it would be, worthwhile or beneficial. If there was ever an opportunity to meet with the people who are left behind because of your involvement in this fence, is that something that you would consider doing?
Yes.
All right, thank you. And at this time, I'm going to close the discussion. During board discussion and deliberation, the board will not entertain questions or allow interruptions. And with that, I would open the discussion to the board.
I think for me, just based on the questions asked, the biggest missing piece is a solid release plan. And it sounds like we need to ask for that. I'm hearing things right.
I think the issue probably more likely is the fact that when you engage the medical release planners, they are, it's very difficult for them to reach out to community resources and establish a plan without a kind of a clear sense of what the date would be or whether there will be a date. And so that's really the incumbent
The missing
requirement.
piece. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that there is no release plan in place, no viable release plan. It may be that he is capable of work and could be self-sufficient at some point, but no planning has been done on that. And it doesn't sound like he has a lot of support in the community or any stable living environment.
So my question would be, how long does it usually take for release planners to engage and come up with a plan? And
It doesn't take long for them to engage. The question about whether or not they can find a viable release option, that becomes the bigger challenge, I think. And that's where we can sometimes struggle or sit.
Well, if he's functioning in a unit at Lionel Lakes, he could conceivably function in a unit in minimum doing the same type of work that he's doing now in the unit. But then after that, I don't know, work release, they don't have that type of work release as far as I know. And there still would be no living arrangements. So it'll have to happen now as opposed to sending him to minimum, because we wouldn't know whether he could function after that or find assisted living. And yet assisted living is very difficult to find most times and to get into.
The release planners, I would just say, have had some success with placement and getting arms workers involved through the county and so forth for ongoing support. That that has that can happen. Although there have also been circumstances and times when it's taken a considerable period of time before a location of a release address was able to be ascertained or developed.
And if we wanted to do like a step down program to minimum and then this release plan, there needs to be something in place first in terms of high probability of locating that and also determining to what extent he can work. And it may be that that the institution staff could better provide information about that, because he is working. It says he's had steady jobs doing what he can, and this type of cleaning the unit is essential, and it's paid employment.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question really would be the extent to which the board would be comfortable moving him out and letting moving him out toward minimum if they wanted to, or keeping him in. And the board could effectively make a decision that would allow for parole upon identification of a suitable release address, if the board wanted to do
Well,
that.
if it, as it now stands, he could function in minimum. If what I'm reading here is totally accurate, he could go to minimum, he could function there, but there would need to be a firm release plan in place by the end of his time in minimum, unless we continued it, or unless they have added some type of work release that we're not aware of, or that I'm not.
Yeah, I think, the traditional work release settings would probably not be appropriate, just given his physical limitations. And so, I think the question would be, moving him out to minimum would be a bit of an indeterminate placement, because we just don't know how long it will take to secure a community setting.
And yet, in terms of the least restrictive environment and the better opportunity for adjustment, minimum could make sense. And
I think
if
the
he
question
sits
for
where he
me,
is,
oh, I'm
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, what's a good continuance date? Whether he stays in medium or goes to minimum, I think we have agreement on a release planner. What's a good continuance? 2 years, 1 year, more? That's what I don't have a sense of
Maybe
that.
sometime inside planning to the extent possible, and then a move to minimum, a year of working with release planners inside to make a determination about his ability to work, his potential for finding a stable living environment, and then to minimum.
I have concerns about focusing on release at this point, given what I hear to be his lack of accountability, especially claiming self-defense, and this guy was coming after him with a bottle, and yet he shot him multiple times.
Yes.
And so it seems to me there's further work to be done with respect to that piece, especially since he completed programs that would have focused on it, like Prison Fellowship Academy has
the
that.
entire
Yeah.
crime
Yeah.
exactly as it happened, and your motive. And
But he hasn't
Yeah.
incorporated that. And, I note that the comprehensive risk assessment that was just done in June 23rd seems to stress his need for ongoing mental health and psychiatric providers to work with him. And I don't know if that's a way of getting to the accountability piece, but I'm hearing something that really concerns me about his lack of acceptance of responsibility for the crime he's charged and convicted of.
I too share that sentiment, Cheryl. I made note, I hear that he accepts responsibility, but it's a very sanitized version of events that was described. I agree. I think there's more work to be done on that part, and more work to be done on planning for release. Like there are a lot of things, everything, I pose the question about, well, if it is disability income, how much is that going to be? What is budgeting going to look like? I think there's a lot of work to be done on that I would need to see more of before I would feel comfortable even really engaging in a conversation about release. I think there's just more to be done.
And
So
that
I kind of share
makes
that
sense.
sentiment.
That makes sense because once you make the move, then the possibility of full accountability could be totally lost. So stay a while where he is, at least a year. And could we stipulate that he needs to have full accountability for his offense in addition to working on a standard release plan?
Yeah, I think the challenge becomes, what does that look like? When, because I think, the bar, if he's just going to rise to our bar, or is there a level of accepted personal accountability and responsibility?
And I was kind of curious about whether he knew the person. One place it says a stranger, another place it said an acquaintance. So it only matters in the sense that he may have had other encounters, but perhaps not. I only saw it one place. Because it sounds like there may have been a lot of rage. He said he's taken the anger management, which could help address that aspect of it. Instead of believing that he was semi-defending himself.
Well, for purposes of discussion, I'll bring forward a motion. I'm going to move to deny parole, set a period of continuance of 24 months. And in the meantime, I would ask the team to look at the extent to which Mr. Cooper could benefit from another internal transition, potentially into another facility, just to see how that gets managed, and to continue to this effort of working on, I think, answering some of the very specific questions like budget stuff and things that you're talking about, Andrew. And it can be a little different because of the fact that he would likely go into a living setting like this. Most of his dollars that would come in from this ability would be used to cover the cost of his placement, and he would be provided a small amount of money to meet his kind of personal needs. Generally speaking, that's how those placements would work. So, and I would also ask that he participate, continue his involvement in the long-term offenders or lifer group. I would also seek that he engage more around the questions of restorative justice and potentially explore this option if it were something that the victims were interested or willing to do, of the potential of meeting with them to have a discussion, which is something that he indicated, and that may be another way for him to gain a deeper level of insight into the impact of his offense.
Second.
So there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I would just add the conditions of the mental health and psychiatric providers, working with them, and also community or getting support for sobriety, refraining from substance use and participating in any substance use programs.
I think that makes a lot of sense, especially given the fact that some building that stronger support network.
You had asked him about that, and he hasn't gone to AA, done anything to continue that.
So I think that would be worthwhile. So you have that, Andrew. Okay. Anything else? Hearing or seeing none. To the motion, Board Member Bray,
Yes.
Board Member Earhart,
Yes.
Board Member Larson,
Yes.
Board Member Ramstead,
Yes.
and Schnell votes yes. And a unanimous vote of 5 ayes, no nays. The motion prevails. Mr. Cooper, we're going to continue you for a period of 24 months, and you heard the discussion and the work that we really would like you to engage in. We will work with our restorative justice folks. We would certainly want to lift up and encourage you to continue working with your team there. One of the things that is a reality is you're going to be at some point in time making a big transition, a change, right? And so I would like the team there to at least explore with you what, if any, possibilities might exist for opportunities to test your ability to manage another change. You've been at Lino for a chunk of time, and just to see what that would look like while you're also doing some of this work around additional insight and accountability into the offense and building out that resource and support team. Any questions about that?
No, I heard about AA. Celebrate Recovery is part of AA. It's a program. It's something that you attend every week, like you would attend AA on the street. And there is a certificate in my thing that I just completed that.
What is the name of that program?
Celebrate Recovery.
Celebrate Recovery.
It's
Yes.
part of PFA, I believe. And I think that's great. And I would just encourage you to continue working on and maintaining involvement and in that ongoing kind of support around substance use as you go forward, because that would certainly be one of the conditions that you would be looking at upon any release as well. So I would encourage you to continue. And the only thing I would also just say is that, and it should go without saying, and I'm really not concerned about this, but it's something that just for the record has to be said, that we would also expect that you would remain discipline-free in the intervening time. So with that, we will get you a letter that provides you the details of this. And you can begin to work with your team there to begin to put together and further develop this plan. All right. Good luck to you, sir. Take care. All right.
I was just gonna say. But, I think it's a good decision. Especially, after this one. Okay.
Have you guys heard before did I understand correctly, Celebrate Recovery?
Oh, Park, are you there?
Celebrate. Celebrate.
Thank
Yes,
you.
I have my hearing aids on, but they're not up.
That's the only reason I knew.
Well, that's a catchy name.
Isn't it amazing
Yes.
how we can translate things?
Yeah, I had a new program there.
Mr. Copeland, can you hear us?
Yes.
All right, we'll be with you in just a few minutes here. We're just getting organized and we'll get back with you.
I would like to see the most of, especially in the budget management. and financial planning. They did not when I was in prisons. They did not. I wish they did. Yeah, I mean, because it required course stuff. And yeah, lots of people, lots of friends still in prison. I'm gonna mention that to them in addition to cell break recovery.
Ready to go?
Yeah.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I am Andrew Carlson. I am the Assistant Director of the Hearings and Release Unit. We are here today to review Mr. Don Quarius Copeland, who is present and participating from the correctional facility at Oak Park Heights via video. Here with me at the Minnesota Department of Corrections Central Office is Commissioner Schnell. He's also the Chair of the Supervised Release Board, along with members Cheryl Ramstad. Christine Bray is going to be with us momentarily. Member Joe Earhart is present, and also member Andrew Larson is participating by video. Juvenile experts Jody Nelson and Donald Strufert are here at Central Office as well. Our records indicate that on or about August 24th, 2011 in Minneapolis, Hennepin County, Minnesota, Don Quarius Copeland, acting alone or intentionally aiding, advising, hiring, counseling, or conspiring with others while using a firearm, caused the death of Ray John Gomez, a juvenile male, with premeditation and with intent to effect the death of that person. On March 25th, 2014, the Hennepin County District Court committed Mr. Copeland to the Commissioner of Corrections for 410 months for second-degree murder. Mr. Copeland was 16 years of age when he committed this offense. Mr. Copeland has served approximately 13 years of incarceration, and today's review is his first review by the board. His original confinement release date was set for June 12, 2035, but given recent changes to the legislature regarding juvenile cases, Mr. Copeland will be eligible for release after serving 15 years of incarceration, which will occur on March 24th, 2027. Thank you. I turn this matter over to the board.
Good afternoon, Mr. Copeland. How are you today?
I'm fine.
I'd like to start out by asking you to talk a little bit about what it is you'd like to see happen as a result of today's meeting.
Now this opportunity really came out left field for me, so it's still new to me. It's still really resonating and setting in. So I'm just looking forward to learning whatever I can and whatever gonna happen today.
Okay, why don't, might be helpful is if you could just summarize a little bit what you wrote in your letter to the board. That might be a good starting point.
It's like I just explained, my mind frame when I came into prison, and over the time, the reasons why I've did my time the way I have and the struggles I have and everything I went through. Like, I came in young. I felt like I ain't had no future, so I felt like I was gonna do whatever I wanted, and I continue to do that.
Continue to do.
Basically, living my life, like, doing whatever I want to do since I've been in jail. Didn't care about going to segregation and things like that. So basically just breaking the rules.
Has that changed at all since you came to the realization that there is an opportunity to be released?
I mean, really, it just really settled in maybe a couple months ago. I still struggle. I'm not gonna say I just turned over a new leaf if automatically once I heard it. I still struggle, and it's an ongoing change.
All right. What do you think it would take for you to kind of turn this train around?
It will take just having the will to do what you need to do. Like this your whole life in front of you. So it'd be for me, basically, it really ain't too much for me is to rein in my behavior and really just lock in and do what I'm supposed to.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about who was impacted by your involvement in this offense?
I mean, Ray John Gomez, ultimately, his parents, his family, me, myself, my parents, my family, the immediate people in the situation, but not only them, it got an outgoing effect because it didn't just affect me and Ray John or anybody else that was there then. In a whole, it affected everybody on both sides, family. So it's like, I don't know, it's hard to explain.
So can you talk a little bit about like what motivated this offense?
Gang banging. When we was all young, gang banging. We was doing what gang bangers do, looking for our rivals, or looking for confrontation. Just trying to basically get back as much as we can, going back and forth at each other.
And in retrospect, did that serve any real benefit or advantage?
Everybody lost. Nobody benefited.
And when did you come to that realization that nobody benefited?
It took years to really break that thinking of, gang banging. When you lose a lot of friends and a lot of stuff been done, and you done did a lot of stuff to people, it kind of locked your mind into this mind state to where that's just what it is. Like you got a gang banging mind state. But once you grow, you get older, even though your behavior might not change, your thinking will change even a little bit to where, you can start seeing everything as a whole and how everything reflected and everything impacted you. And you get to see like everything really was for nothing. Because we started off as kids as, claiming a block that none of us don't own, block that's still there right now, are all of us gone. It's all different reasons.
So you recognize that and you could see that, but is it fair to say that some of your prison misconduct has been really grounded in some of the same kinds of issues, gangbanging and that kind of stuff?
I think a lot of it, yeah. At least in the beginning, but not really now since I'm older. Or it's a lot
Okay.
younger. It's a lot of young.
So what has jammed you up more recently then, if it isn't that stuff? What has been the issue more recently?
Antagonizing staff, having confrontations with staff, assaults on staff. That's really my anger.
Okay. Can you just say, describe or tell us, was Ray John Gomez the intended victim or target?
Yes.
Why?
I guess him and Derek, my co-defendant. I guess they had a confrontation in the juvenile center. So when we went to where we went that night, we seen him and Derek wanted to shoot at him. So we shot at him. And he
Okay,
ended up,
so they were on a bike, right?
yes.
And was he a passenger on the bike or was he driving it?
I think he was on the back of the bike getting bucked.
Okay.
They call it bucking when you ride on the pegs and the other
Okay.
person control the bike.
Okay. And you and your co-defendants were in a car?
Yes.
So what happened?
Well, initially, when we went down there, we thought we seen somebody else. So when we got out the car, going to go shoot at that person, and we got into the alley, we seen Ray John and his friends riding on his bike. And Derek, my co-defendant, said, "There go Ray John." Even though it's two Ray Johns, even though I thought he was talking about somebody else, it still ended up being one of them from that neighborhood. And Derek asked me, "Should I shoot?" And I told him, "Yeah." And when he shot, somebody else shot, and I took the gun from him, and I shot back, but Ray John didn't have no gun.
So it wasn't Rajan and whoever he was with that shot, it was somebody else, you're saying?
Yeah, some shots came from somewhere else.
Did you shoot Rajan?
Yes.
Using the kind of your sense of like imagination, can you describe what you think the loss was like for his family?
I know it was devastating because it would have been devastating for my family. You know, his parent is losing a life that she watched bring into the world, that she carried into the world, and not only affected his parents, but his loved ones, his brothers and sisters if he had them, his uncles and aunties, his cousins he grew up with. You know, it impacted their whole family. So I can only imagine how that would feel like. I couldn't even say I could start to understand it.
And I get that, you know, as you look back now with your 30-year-old eyes versus at the time your 16, almost 17-year-old eyes, and you think about the issue around the fact that there was a dispute reportedly between Rajan and your co-defendant, and the issue of just firing a shot because there was some dispute that happened sometime prior between them. As you look back now as an adult, how do you characterize or how do you make sense of what happened?
Senselessness. You know, people just young, you don't really think about when you're young and in the streets, you don't really think about the value of life or the impact of your actions that's going to impact everybody else. You know, it's like you kind of living a game, like you playing with your life. It's like you living this fast life, and it's like whoever get caught, they get caught. If you get caught, you get killed. If they get caught, they get killed. You get caught, you get shot. They get caught, they get shot. It's like a, I don't know. It's like it's just senseless. It's just you just living this life just to live this life. You know how they say that some people say, or they be dying to live. In that street life is like you living to die. You're not even caring about nothing else. You're waking up every day with the intentions to be shot at and to be shooting at people, to be hanging on your block, to be drugged up. You know, you're just living a reckless lifestyle.
Which it sounds like you're acknowledging as you think back, is senseless, crazy, right? Just that living like that. And yet at the time it made sense. That is what I'm kind of hearing, right?
Yes. As crazy as that sounds.
No, it, context matters, and I hear that. I guess one of the things that I'm really struggling with, and I'm wondering about, is what you think it's going to take truly for you. You know, you talked about the fact that you're beginning to think differently about what's happening and what the possibilities are with your life. But I'm wondering what you think are the steps or the things that need to happen in order for behavior to follow that, and so that there's a different kind of conversation with the board, and I think a level of confidence even in you around what the future could look like. Do you have a sense?
I gotta learn how to stop sabotaging myself. I'm literally like my worst enemy, my worst enemy to myself. I sabotage myself in a lot of situations because certain situations don't even have to end up the way they end, but me having this careless mind state of, oh, I'm in prison, I got 30 some years to do, there's nothing you can do to me, and I don't have nothing to lose. It fuels me to this angry behavior to where I just don't care. So I antagonize, I react to the smallest situations in the biggest way. I sabotage my own self.
Have you met in the course of the time that you've been incarcerated, I would imagine, but I want to ask, have you met people who have been incarcerated for long periods of time and appear, by your estimation, to have made significant change in their life?
Yes, multiple people.
Have you ever asked them about what it was that helped them to make that shift or avoid self-sabotage?
It was just being tired, doing the same thing and not benefiting. You doing the same thing and you only hurting yourself in the long run. But they always tell me like, you always being like this when you don't even have to be like this. And they just tell me like, you're gonna have to change that because in order for you to succeed in the community, you can't go out there thinking the same way you thinking here. Because it's not gonna work. You know, they just told me that they start, you know, taking programs, reading books, trying to better understand themselves.
Do you think you could do that?
I mean, I read a lot already, so I read a
Yeah.
lot of like philosophy and all type of mind challenging books. All it is me applying myself, really. I don't apply myself. That's why I say self-sabotaging because I can do whatever I put my mind to. And I'm not just saying that in the sense of that's what people say. Like that's something I know about me. If I choose to do something, I can do.
Okay. All right. I'm going to open it up to other members of the board to ask whatever questions they may have.
Mr. Copeland, I have a couple of questions. You said that you're no longer involved with activity with the gang, something of that nature. Do you still have any involvement with gangs and gang members in prison?
I got all my friends is gang members. Everybody I grew up around that's here is gang members. Even though I don't actively gang bang, I hang around the people I grew up with.
Do you intend to continue doing that?
I mean, yes, because them the people I grew up with. I'm not jumping in fights or wilding out with them or getting into it with rivals with them or nothing, but them the people I talk to. We in this environment, we come from the same area, the same blocks. We grew up together since kids. So it's natural that we're gonna congregate towards each other.
What do you intend to do? Are you going to change anything starting today?
I have to if I want to succeed and if I want to see an opportunity of being released. I got been working with my case manager, doing everything I can to help myself. I be experiencing setbacks because, like I said, I be into this careless mindset, this self-sabotage. But I can say she try to help me as much as she can. So I'm working. I'm on step down management right now. I'm working. I'm just trying to get into that mode of grinding and doing what I need to do.
Thank you.
Other questions?
Reading your material, the one spark that attracted me, you used the word hope. Recall that at all?
You say it again?
You used the word hope and referred to this. I got the impression the first hope you received, maybe in your entire life, was the opportunity to get released at an earlier date.
I mean, absolutely. When you lived your whole life in the system, you grew up in the system from juvenile to adulthood, and you hear this news that you got a chance to where you can get back out and do something over. Like it give you it's like it give you this feeling of disbelief, like you don't believe it's true. And that's why it took me so long for it to register because I didn't know if this was just something that always gonna happen. And then a year or two down the line, everything gonna change. So I didn't want to get my faith up and my hope up and dive into this and then be devastated in the end.
So I'm understanding hope is something that it's associated with you're wanting to change and you're being on a change track.
Yes.
I believe I want to hope with you, and I believe that's the function of this board. Can we do that together?
Yes.
Anybody else offer you that opportunity to do it together?
Yes.
Who?
My case
Where?
manager. My case
What?
manager. My case
How did
manager.
that happen? What happened between you and the case manager that gives you hope?
I don't know. I wish you could ask her. I think she just probably
Say again?
I think she probably just seen something in me. I think she probably just seen through the BS I put up as this shield.
Okay, but she sees it from the outside and you don't see it on the inside yet.
Yes.
Okay, I think hope has a lot to do with what I can do and what we can do together. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
And you've been doing it all by yourself for an awful long time.
Yes.
Possibly changing.
Yes.
Or the challenge that we have is how can that change happen in the Department of Corrections?
By putting the work in.
Again?
By putting the work in and doing what I need to do to be a better me, to better myself.
I would say by doing what you needs to do, but who determines what you need to do? You or somebody else?
I do.
All by yourself, all alone?
I wouldn't say all alone because somebody got to point me to the right direction, on the right course.
Who's available to help you do that? Who's going to do that with you?
My case manager.
Okay, so we got a little spark of hope, and we got one other person that may join you on this travel or this voyage, this trip.
Yes.
I want you to have more than that.
I don't really understand.
Beg pardon?
I said I don't really understand the point you're trying to make.
I want to share hope with you, and I'm getting the message you don't understand how hope can be shared.
I mean, I understand how hope can be shared because it's somebody supporting you with their hope too, that you can do better for yourself.
With that support, we can do better for ourselves and others.
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe you can do help for others?
Yes.
How? Where, or where's that possible for you? I want you to have that. Where is it gonna happen?
It can happen. It can start in here by sharing
Say
my
again?
story. It can start in here by sharing my story, sharing my struggles. You know, trying to help the younger guys that come through not be the same as me.
So sharing your stories are gonna help people avoid some of the stuff you've been in and some of the stuff you feel guilty about,
Yes,
you're ashamed of?
yes,
There's the tough part of hope many times. I gotta hope when there's a lot of shame and there's a lot of sense of guilt. Sounds like you're on that track.
yes,
So I'm seeing these changes that hope might be with. Hope involves not only what I do, but what I do with others. Okay?
yes.
Hope comes along when I feel like I belong somewhere. I'm not sure if that's available to you right now.
No,
I hope that comes. Or I hope we can find some paths where you can belong. Sounds like one chance you're looking for is sharing your story with younger kids.
yes.
You don't know if you belong there yet, but it's a possibility.
I know I should share my story.
Beg pardon?
I said, I know I should share my story.
Yes, I agree. But you don't know if anybody else is going to listen at this point.
Yes,
Okay, that's to come. Final thing, I think hope has a lot to do with an identification or an ID. All right. You've convinced me in your writing that your idea is to be a bad guy,
yes,
or that's you've lived that way for a long time.
yes,
You hope you can change to be helping, not just a bad guy, but a helper for somebody else.
yes,
I agree. I think you can do that. I think I can help. I think we can help. Thank you for being with me.
thank you.
Other questions?
Well, I have almost more of a comment, Mr. Copeland. I was disappointed in your letter to the board. It seemed honest and sincere from your point of view. It was a 5.5-page letter, and it wasn't until page 3 that you wrote, "I take full responsibility and full accountability for my actions and my behavior, and there's no excuse for it, and I'll never try to offer one." But then you went right back to talking about your struggles and yourself. I'd like to see you work your way out of Oak Park Heights so that you can take classes and get some mentoring yourself on how to change your thinking. Because I think until you change your thinking, your behavior, it's going to be tough for you to change your behavior. It's just a comment.
Mr. Copeland, my background's in education and mental health.
Jody,
Oh,
I'm gonna
is
just
that-
have you pull the mic closer.
is that better?
Yeah, I would pull it right up to
Okay.
in front of you there. And
Excuse me, Mr. Copeland. My background's is in education and mental health, and my read of your story is that you faced a lot of challenges and barriers, not of your own making, from a very early age, and had challenges in school, had many out-of-home placements, lots of challenges and barriers before you were incarcerated. So this has been, lifelong. Issues that you need to unpack, I think. I hope in the time that you have left incarcerated that you would pay a lot of attention to education, your opportunities for education and your opportunities for mental health support. You've talked about being angry. One of the things that I've heard said that I think is true is that anger is the bodyguard of sadness. And as I read your story, I think there's a lot of sadness that's at the root of your anger. So I think in the time that you have to work on yourself, I'd pay attention to education, continue learning, and get some mental health supports to work through some of that sadness.
Any other questions?
Mr. Copeland, I did have a couple of questions and comments. Similar to what some of the other members have shared, I think what I hear is, I think you're reaching the point of being sick and tired of this, and I think that is progress. I think that's where you need to go. I hear someone who wants to change and doesn't know how. I sincerely, I hear that. I'm wondering, the board can certainly give, kind of directions and ideas and those sorts of things, but I'm wondering from your perspective, are there some specific concrete things that you think you can do over the course of, like a short-term goal, just to kind of really get yourself going and kind of get you moving in that right direction? I mean, is there something that you've thought of that you'd really like to accomplish?
I think I just want to, learn as much as I can, do as much programs as I can.
Like, is there a specific like, I want to get more specific even. I don't want to speak in generalities. Like, is there a specific program that you think is of interest that might be of benefit to you?
I want to learn how to be a barber.
Okay. All right. And is that something that you think you could potentially set as a goal for yourself? And what I'm really trying to do is like get you to start thinking like you've got an out date. I mean, the potential is there for the out date to come sooner. So I appreciate what you said at the start, where when you came in, you were 17, 18 years old, a 30 or a 420-month sentence or whatever it was seems like a lifetime. I think you now recognize it's not. You have an out date. I really hope that you start forming some goals for yourself, start moving past some of this really self-destructive behavior, using your own words, which I agree. I think it is self-destructive. So start really setting some goals for yourself and start moving in that direction. Like I said, I hear it, and I think you can do it. And I, similar to what some of the other board members have said, like I want to see you be successful. I do. But it's going to take work. It is.
Mr. Copeland, I'm a little concerned about your attitude about maintaining your gang identification, and some comments you made that were reported in the comprehensive risk assessment just a month ago about thinking carrying a gun is justified, and that you're from a gang community and people know you as a gang member and identify you as such. And basically, it sounds like you'd have difficulty shedding that identification and your friends, and believe carrying a gun just goes along with that. Can you tell me what that's all about?
It's like, when I said it, I was trying to explain, like, sometimes the stuff you do in the past, it don't go away. So if I harm somebody, there's always going to be somebody who wants to retaliate. There's always going to be somebody who's hurt by what I did, or it's somebody I hurt, or somebody hurt somebody that I love, that I'm always be hurt by what they did. So in that sense, when you're in the same environment, some people have to carry a gun for protection. I wasn't necessarily saying that's what I want to do, or that's what I need to do, but that's just some of the facts of reality.
But the point I'm trying to make is it seems that you really identify with being part of that culture, that you come from a gang culture, that your friends in prison are from gangs. And what I'm hearing isn't that you want to change that, but that you accept that as who you are and who people know you are. And that concerns me with respect to your ability to get out of this vicious cycle you're in, where you've spent half of your time in SEG and have done some pretty horrific things and haven't been able to hold down employment. And it's kind of like being in a maze. I just would ask you to think about the underlying mindset that you have about that gang identification, people knowing you're in a gang, you're going to maintain it, you've got friends in it, and really think about what purpose that has served you in the past and whether that's part of the future that you want to have to make a better life for yourself, okay?
Can I say something?
Certainly.
I don't maintain a gang identification. That's just where I'm from. That's just what I come from. But that don't mean that's me. I don't walk around here actively gang. I don't walk around here throwing up gang signs. I don't walk around here getting in gang politics or none of that. That's not what I do.
I understand that you're not active in the gang, not actively participating, but it sounds like to me like you still identify with it, and that's what came through in the reports that I read. So that's the point I was trying to make. And I'm just asking you to examine that, because that mindset can lead you to take certain steps and go in certain directions that might not be consistent with changing your future and making it a better future for yourself than your past has been.
Mr. Copeland, just you have some pending cases, correct?
Yes,
In Washington County?
yes,
And those are related to assault on staff?
yes.
Okay. All right. Any other questions people have? Mr. Copeland, before the board begins discussion and deliberation about next steps, I want to briefly open the floor to you to provide any final comment to the board before we have discussions about next steps.
No, I just want to say, no, I came here and put myself verbally, I'm at a disadvantage, like, due to my past record, my past discipline record. But I just want to let y'all know that, you know, that's me in the past, and that I'm gonna do everything I can to work towards when I come see y'all the next time. I'm gonna be a totally different person.
I think everybody would like to see that. All right, with that, I will close the discussion. During board discussion and deliberation, the board will not entertain questions or allow interruptions. And with that, I would open the discussion to the board.
Question, please. I understand minimum confinement is 2027.
Yeah, that would be his updated eligibility date. And 2035 is his hard out date.
So he will be out in 2035 is what I,
Correct. He
Okay.
will hit a supervised release date in June of 2035.
thank you. Just clarification.
Well, based on what we've heard today, what I hope is that he will, from this day on, and he's been out of SAG, I think, for 198 days, turned around, start doing the required programming. I don't know if we need to specifically recommend that. I read that he's working on his GED, and that is certainly a start, and has had some vocational programming, but that he continue that. The gangs certainly concern me, but that is something that generally happens gradually as people get more and more involved in programming, as opposed to just walking and saying, I'm out. I'm not part of this anymore. So I think the programming in and of itself will help address that, which will always be a problem if he doesn't make the needed changes. So lots of programming needed. Depends on how quickly he can do it.
I'd like to, I'd like to see him work himself out of Oak Park Heights and put a continuance there that isn't so long that he can't see the end of it. So I was thinking more a motion to deny parole, maybe continue for 2 years or maybe 18 months with the goal of work your way out of Oak Park Heights and
I
let's see where
like
you
that
at
idea,
the
making
next
a
time.
move to a new facility.
I'd second that if it were 2 years.
I'd take that.
And I think that's consistent also with the team, which seemed to think that the goals, including finishing his GED and getting the help that he needs, could all be accomplished within that 2-year period.
Exactly.
And there are quite a few programs available, and he has gotten a start. Would need to work with his case manager to get enrolled in the other programs, and that could keep him very busy for the next 2 years.
I wouldn't want to say, we typically say discipline-free. I would like to not say that.
I'd like
Say
to
it
say
again,
that.
Jody.
I'm saying, I would like to not say that.
Jody, I didn't hear the first part.
We usually say discipline-free. Sorry. We usually say discipline-free. I would like to not say discipline-free. I think we might want to say discipline-reduced.
I would like to say
I'm talking here
discipline-free.
now, just a moment.
I'm sorry.
I think what's going to be more important in the next couple of years is the input, is the programming, completing programming, staying in programming. I mean, obviously he can't do programming if he's in segregation. But I also would caution us against expecting a 180-degree turn and look for progress.
I would also like some exploration of what programs are going to help him desist. So the first accomplishment might be stopping A, B, and C, or stopping being a bully, stopping being this hard guy. So I would like, what programs, or are there programs that address the issue of desistance from current, well, behavior that I would see as inappropriate, self-sabotaging, or desistance from self-sabotaging might be the first one. Looking at what he's ready to address and identifies.
I would just say that probably the best answer to that, I don't know, Andrew, you can certainly weigh in, but I would say that a cognitive skills program at some level would be a starting point for desistance programming.
And that's what I was going to say. I think one of the programs that they even talked about being available at Oak Park Heights is decision points, and I think that can potentially get at what you're talking about, Don. And so I would agree with that. I think that's going to be really really important as part of this growth. And I, on some level, I kind of agree with certainly some of Jody's comments as well. Progress is going to be really important. Perfection towards that, obviously, but definitely want to see some progress. As I had indicated, earlier, I think there is a desire, but he knows the proof's in the pudding. Like, now it's time to show the board that, like, yeah, you can really make the progress you're talking about, and I hope that's the case. So, anyways.
Yes, I would just say that I just want to be transparent about where I said I will not support a 24-month continuance. I don't feel I can, in light of the assaultive behavior directed at DOC staff and the pending criminal cases that exist there. I think I'm not expecting perfection, but the ongoing conduct that's directed at staff, I can't support a 24-month continuance. I think he's going to have to demonstrate, and I understand there's that positive hook of the shorter time of coming back before us, and identifying kind of progress in that time. At the same time, there is going to be a level of, there will be reward for changes in behavior. And I think we've heard that from people who came before us, that what they saw what they put out resulted in things coming back to them differently. And I think that would be the case if he demonstrated that. But I can support 24 months. I just want to be clear about that.
Could you share with us what you think might be a more appropriate continuance date?
It's just where I would land would be more, I don't want to make it ungodly long, but I would say a 3-year kind of period of time, so that there is the opportunity to, have probably an imperfect bit of demonstration of change. And yet to see the kind of engagement and involvement in programs that he talked about, and that he knows, I think, would be beneficial, and I think we all have talked about. That's the concern.
Well, we have a motion and a second, so I guess I propose we take a vote.
Sure.
And then
I
with
fully
your
support that.
comments in mind and see where it goes.
All right, so there is a motion and a second to the motion. Board Member Bray,
Yes.
Board Member Earhart,
I would say yes if we added remain discipline-free. I think it's crucial that we have the expectation of being discipline-free. I'm not saying it would happen, and with many people it doesn't. There will be large and small types of discipline, but the expectation is remain discipline-free for me. Then I would say yes to the 2 years. If he can do that, if he can work to the extent possible toward finishing as much programming as he can at Oak Park Heights, then I would say yes to that.
so just to be clear, is that included in the motion? And because that would change the
That's-
vote, right? That's the key
No,
question
I
here
guess
is.
I should have presented as a motion because I would go along with that.
So
plus
effectively, if deny, if not remaining discipline-free, or saying that he must remain discipline-free, your vote would be no. I just want to be clear about where you are, where you're at.
and I know you can't put a distinction between refusing to stand for count and assaulting somebody, and I can't say remain serious discipline-free, but my expectation would be remain discipline-free. And we know that people may still have small incidents of discipline, but my expectation would be remain discipline-free. Sometimes you stumble. Your goal is never to stumble, but
So I just want to draw the distinction. I think we're including the Jody's kind of reference in here, or is that, I guess we should probably clarify that as a expectation around this, so that Joe can make a vote either yea or nay. So I would go back to the motion maker.
Yeah, I would say remain discipline-free.
Okay. And that, who was the second on this? I don't,
I was the second.
Second.
Or
I think,
depending on what you
yeah.
decide.
I would agree.
okay, remain discipline-free is in. So then if that were a condition, you would vote yes.
Yes.
Board Member Larson,
No.
Board Member Ramstead,
No.
Board Member Nelson,
No.
Board Member Strufert,
I respect discipline-free. I respect safety of the staff. I'm very impatient to see progress, so I'll say yes.
So it is a 3-3 vote, and Schnell votes no. So the motion as made does not prevail. So is there an alternative?
I would move that we have the same motion, but it be a 3-year continuance.
and remaining discipline-free.
I think that's a good compromise.
Okay, there's a motion. Is there a second? Joe, is that a
Second.
motion and a second? Okay, to the updated motion, Board Member Bray,
No,
Board Member Earhart,
Yes.
Board Member Larson,
Yes.
Board Member Ramstead,
yes,
Board Member Nelson, Board Member Strufert,
Yes.
and Schnell votes yes. So the motion as presented prevails with a vote of 5-2. And Mr. Copeland, what this means is that we are denying parole, which is not probably a big surprise. But the question really, I think, was as you heard, the period of one, what we expect. And I think, the expectation is generally that we want you to be discipline free and do well. We recognize that there's a process here. But certainly engaging in the kinds of misconduct that you have, I think clearly would be unacceptable, like violence and those sorts of things. But we recognize that there's going to be some learning that has to happen here. You also heard the range of programs, and I would love to see you get into the barber program at some point in time. I think that it is an incredibly good goal, and people who get through it have generally done well and have had the opportunities to earn a living doing that when they get out. So, but that's going to require you to really dig deep and get in and be positive. And come back here in that 3-year time frame, fully prepared to talk about the tremendous progress that you've made. And I think everybody here, I think certainly Mr. Strufert, really I think dug deep around the whole issue of hope. But I think clearly, I certainly hope that you will do that. And I heard that from several of the other board members as well. So any questions about this?
No.
Okay. Are you, can we look forward to a positive report meeting in 3 years from now?
Yes.
All right. We look forward to that. So thank you, sir. I wish you well.
Yes, to you.
All right, we'll be ready to go here in just a couple of minutes. And
Maybe my impatience. Is it possible to explore sometime little updates of progress being made between now and 3 years? Or some type of, just a little indication of what's happening?
yeah, I think absolutely we could build in some opportunities for reports or the PRT stuff.
Be
or
the
not
annual
report.
reviews.
Yeah,
Yeah.
To look at their progress.
Thank
yeah,
you.
I think that we can. I should probably pull that on a number of these cases just to share that information so people have that background.
Sort of, where do we see progress? How do we monitor progress? How often do we monitor progress? I think it's coming from sort of that mental state too.
Yeah, we can pull that.
Yeah, I get impatient too. I'm kind of a fast.
See again?
I get impatient too. I want it to happen as soon as possible with the programming. I was going to ask you how to turn that off on my Apple Watch, but because mine was doing it.
I just hit the red button.
we waiting for anything?
Yeah. Please. You want to go ahead?
Thanks.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
We'll start momentarily, just waiting on member Ramstead rather.
Maybe we can walk through the intro. Why don't we go ahead and start on the intro and we'll.
Yep,
just
very
begin.
good. Sure. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrew Carlson. I'm the Assistant Director of the Hearings and Release Unit. We're here today for a review on Mr. Ryan Pedersen, who's present and participating from the correctional facility at Red Wing, along with your advocate and mother, Ms. Teresa Pedersen. Hello, Ms. Pedersen. Thank you for participating today. We appreciate it. Here at Central Office, Department of Corrections Central Office, is Commissioner Schnell, and he's also the Chair of the Supervised Release Board. Also member Christine Bray, member Joe Earhart, juvenile expert Jody Nelson, juvenile expert Donald Strufert, member Andrew Larson is participating by video, and member Christine, or pardon me, Cheryl Ramstead is going to be joining us momentarily. Our records indicate that on August 20th, 1997, Ryan Pedersen and Stephen Dean caused the death of Robert Anderson while committing or attempting to commit a burglary. A police investigation revealed that Mr. Pedersen and Mr. Dean were with the victim earlier that morning smoking marijuana. Both Mr. Pedersen and Mr. Dean left the residence and a short time later decided to go back and rob Mr. Anderson. After returning to the residence, Mr. Pedersen and Mr. Dean proceeded to beat the victim, stab him with a knife, and beat him over the head with a gun, resulting in the death of Mr. Anderson. Subsequently, Mr. Pedersen was convicted of first-degree murder, and on December 18th, 1998, in Anoka County District Court, in accordance with Minnesota Criminal Code, Mr. Pedersen was committed to the Commissioner of Corrections to serve a 30-year minimum life sentence. Mr. Pedersen was 17 years of age when he committed this offense. Mr. Pedersen has served approximately 27 years of incarceration, and today's review is his second review of his life sentence and first by the board. His original parole eligibility date was May 17th, 2028, but given recent changes to the legislature regarding juvenile cases, Mr. Pedersen became eligible for release after serving 15 years of incarceration, which occurred on May 17th, 2013. Thank you. I turn this matter over to the board.
Mr. Pedersen, how are you doing today?
Good. I'm, excited, anxious.
All right. Can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing?
Since I got to Red Wing here.
Yes.
My goal to get down to Red Wing was to get a job in maintenance and, further my job skills. So, I got here and the jobs are seniority based. So at first I was in Ickwick and then I moved to the kitchen and eventually I was able to get in maintenance and, I was able to get a boiler's license, and I've been logging hours as an apprentice boiler operator, as well as HVAC skills and being able to do some welding projects. So that was my main goal of getting here is to further my job skills. I've also been able to put together like resumes, um, and like we talked about at the last hearing, I was supposed to work on my leadership skills, so I did take a job as the cottage rep to work on my leadership skills, and where I do orientations and just kind of show people around and kind of let them know like what the expectations are in the unit, and volunteer for like doing food orders and like activities like that. So I've also been just working on like, you know, details of the release plan, and I and being in contact with my support people and just maintaining relationships there. And I got my I've been preparing for, you know, maybe future transitions by like getting my driver's permit, uh, social security card, ID, birth certificate, stuff like that. So that's pretty much in a nutshell what I've been doing. Mainly work on my job skills and, you know, possible future transitions. I did do some, I have been involved in some programming as well, like we talked about with the Redemption Project. And we did start a peer recovery group here. So far, it just started. I've only been to one group so far, but I'm just mainly, you know, with the job skills and trying to stay active in the unit and taking groups and being, you know, pro-social. That's about it.
So you feel like you're ready to further progress?
Yes, I do for sure. I mean, I've you know, I put in a lot of work and made a lot of changes. I think my record kind of shows, you know, I haven't been in trouble in like well over a decade. I've addressed a lot of issues I had, and as far as the job skills, I feel confident, you know, I can work and contribute to society. And I really do. I want to get out there and take on more responsibilities and start giving back. And yeah, I believe I'm definitely ready for the next step.
So talk about the change from the time that you entered prison after committing, I think what you would agree was a pretty horrific crime, right?
Yes.
Can you talk about the changes that you've made?
Well, I mean, I you know, I completely changed my life and who I am, and the biggest change I think I've made is going from a follower to a leader. Whereas before I was like always, you know, I didn't believe in myself, quit a lot of things. I was always just trying to fit in. I was real quiet, shy. I didn't express myself well, my emotions and my wants or needs. And since, you know, since going through the treatment process and taking a lot of these classes, I've become someone who believes in myself and capable of making my own decisions. Like I trust myself, you know, I work hard. I know how to set goals. You know, if I do need help, whereas before I didn't like the vulnerable feeling of asking for help. Now I'm not afraid afraid to ask for help. You know, and it shows too, just by the types of people I associated with. You know, back then I was a real antisocial crowd, and you know, we drank a lot, smoked pot, violent stuff, just real poor behavior. Whereas now, I've gone through the treatment process. I have absolutely zero want to drink or do drugs or any of that, or be violent or fit in to the antisocial type of groups. Like I'm someone who's focused on who I am and what I want to do, and that's, you know, going to work and living a healthy lifestyle and being involved in pro-social things.
So when you look back at your involvement in this offense through the eyes of today, who you are today, how do you make sense of it?
You know, I don't. I mean, it was absolutely horrific crime, and I want to apologize for taking the life of Robert Anderson. It was like, I mean, it's absolutely the worst thing someone can do. You know, I mean, I robbed a human being of who he was. You know, everything he could have done, everything he could have been, and you know, I feel absolutely terrible about it. I want to apologize to his loved ones. You know, I want him to know how truly sorry I am, and you know, all the other people that I affected that could be watching too. I know it was a completely senseless crime. I took a life. I affected a ton of people, and you know, I have a hard time making sense of it. It's I'm like disgusted by it, and I don't know how to make sense of it.
When you think about the harm that was caused by your involvement in the offense, can you describe what you might envision or think the impact was on the people left behind?
Well, I mean, you know, when someone's just uprooted from your life, you know, I'm sure it's a devastating thing, and uh, uh, I just, you know, especially like with a sibling, you know, every celebration, you know, every hard time, just when you need someone to talk to and they're not there no more. I mean, it's devastating. You know, I know life is fragile, especially something so violent and senseless. You know, I'm sure there's, you know, a lot of PTSD, create mental health problems. I mean, it's just, well, the effects are endless, and I'm just sorry that I'm the one that actually, you know, making someone have to deal with things like this, like all the hurt and pain, and I just feel terrible.
what do you think, going forward, what do you owe, to your victim and the people who are left behind by virtue of your offense?
Well, I mean, I owe everything. I mean, first, I can't, I know I can't change what I've done. I know I'll never, be able to make up for it. You just can't make up for a loss of life. And, I know all I can do is, work on myself, try to be the best version of myself, make sure nothing like this ever happens again, which I'm sure of. Like, I'll never be involved, nothing like this again. I want to be able to give back to the community and, work with our restorative justice and go tell my story, at places I've been. I mean, I owe the community a lot, and I intend to give back. If I do get out there, like it's never going to stop. I'm always going to be trying to do things to improve my community and give back.
So can you talk a little bit about, if you were to be, move forward and then eventually paroled, what would that, what would you envision parole looking like?
Also, I would assume that I'd be on a ISR, intense supervised release, and I'd probably, obviously, I'd have an ankle monitor. It'd be very strict. I'd be going to work, coming home, and I know I have to have a set schedule in place and follow that schedule and work with my parole officer, and I'm sure that there'd be certain passes you can go on, like certain freedoms you do get, but I do believe it would be very strict, and a lot of it would be up to the parole officer how it's going to go.
So talk about like what your release plan would look like. Like where would you envision living, and what would that be like and upon parole?
Okay, so I envision first paroling to my parents' house in Minneapolis, and I'd be working with my parole agents. I'd be getting a job. I'd be working on getting a license, things of that nature, transportation to my job. I'd be looking at opening, bank accounts, stuff like that. I continue to be in contact with all my support people. I'd meet with my AA sponsor. I'd still go to AA once a week at least. Like I said, I'd be working, make sure to have a kind of like a structured life, like where I'm exercising and doing things to keep in a positive mindset and staying focused.
I note in the record that you have a significant other. Can you talk a
Yes.
little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's someone that I knew when we were young in grade school, and I haven't I didn't talk to her the whole time I was locked up till about 2022. And a friend of mine, Tony, he said she wanted me to call him or her. And so, yeah, I called her and we really just hit it off and she's been amazing. Like she's been super supportive and, you know, we've come a long way and I anticipate being with her when I do get out. And we've talked about, you know, going to couples counseling and stuff, making sure that like my transition, I don't want to mess the relationship up. Like I want to keep it progressing. And we talked about like living together. Like I wouldn't want to move right in with her just because it's too much too soon. Like I want to kind of get to know her out there and build a relationship through dating and you know, getting to know her kids and stuff and slowly progress it, work through couples counseling as I transition.
I'm going to say good for you. I would also just note that it sounded like that you had also had another person that you had met through a kind of a pen pal type of deal, and you had developed a relationship with that person. Did that relationship kind of fall apart when this one developed?
No, it was falling apart kind of before that. It was kind of getting to the point where at first we were, you know, talking a lot and making all these plans, and then, you know, it kind of got to the point where she wasn't answering the phone that much, and we didn't really discuss it, but we became more like kind of friends. Like we talked a little bit, and at some point I just quit contacting her.
Just not positive, or you didn't see it going anywhere, or what was the?
Yeah, I didn't see it going anywhere because I mean it's just like I tried calling all the time and you know, she wouldn't answer the phone or message her, and I wouldn't hear nothing back, so I just kind of just let it go.
Okay. I want to just quickly, I want to turn to your mom here and ask her to provide her thoughts to the board, and then we'll open it up for board members to ask you additional questions or your mom. So thank you, Ms. Peterson, for being here today and for being a support to Ryan. And I just want to turn the floor over to you and ask that you share whatever you'd like with the board, and in particular, the changes you've seen over the course of time.
Okay, well, I have to say that things seem to line up with what he was talking about as far as his sobriety. Basically, at first, when he came to prison, I felt like he still wasn't communicating. He was still quiet, really didn't talk that much about things. But then when he started taking his programming seriously and said, you know, talked more about what happened to other people instead of stuffing it inside and not being willing to maybe even face it himself, I think that he began opening up and even physically just started looking better and taking better care of himself and, you know, working out. And then he started being more interested in what we were doing actually and being more involved with the family as much as he could be. And then, then setting those goals for himself, one thing after another, and then he'd accomplish it. And he didn't just like reach for the stars. I mean, it was small things at first, and then he just kept being more. I mean, then all of a sudden, I mean, it just seemed like Ryan his smile really was a smile, and the look in his eye was, starting to change. I mean, he just started becoming confident and happier and proud of himself again, with every accomplishment. And I just thought it was wonderful the way I watched it evolve. It didn't happen overnight, but he was going stride by stride, and he stuck to everything he set out to do until he finished it. And I think that there's not much more he can do here. I think he needs to grow more, because emotionally in the last 10, 15 years, he's been like a sponge, just soaking up everything he could that was available to him.
Do you feel like he's ready to move forward?
I believe he is.
Do you believe that he reflects any level of risk to the public?
No.
And at the time of his offense, did you believe that he reflected a risk to the public?
Well, in the sense that he wasn't really accepting what he did. I mean, not totally. He was stuffing it, not talking about it.
Yeah.
But once he opened up, then he started to grow. I mean, it's just
So that's really the shift that you saw?
Yes.
The change you saw? Okay. All right. Other things that you would like the board to know in terms of your observations?
Well, it's just that I believed in him the whole time. I knew that he had the strength, and I just believed in him. And, there was nothing, you can't tell somebody, oh, you need to do this, and instead of getting in trouble in prison, you need to go to the class. And I mean, he had to get to that. It's his journey, and it was hard to step back, but he found his way.
This has to have been hard for you as well. Just the whole experience from beginning to now.
It was very hard. It was like a lot. It was first you grieved him, and you grieved everything he wasn't ever going to do, and all the dreams you had for him. And it was teenager. I mean, before he became a teenager, I mean, he got in wrong crowds. I mean, what a good kid. What a good brother. I mean, I knew he would come back. You know who your child is. The kind of person that he is. And he got lost, but I knew he'd come back,
When you think back of like the court process, what was the hardest part for you in terms of seeing what Ryan was going through in that process?
Well, making men's, grown-up decisions that, but it had to be his decision because he was the one who had to be happy with however it turned out. It had to be what he wanted to do because he had to live with the consequences. It was hard to watch. It was very hard to watch. And
Thank you. Thank you for that. With that, I would just open it up to the board to ask either questions for Mr. Peterson or his mom.
Hi, I don't have so much a question, Mr. Pedersen and Mom. but I do just want to affirm your release plan and materials that you put together. I thought they were so very excellent. And I also want to commend you on all the relationships that you have made over the last many years and your listing of them as people that you will depend on and ask for help. And so I just wanted to say I was very impressed.
Thank you.
Couple questions,
You wanna
maybe
grab the
going in.
mic?
Thank you. Couple questions maybe beyond, well, I don't think it's beyond, but maybe new questions. You've got a lot of individual certifications, and I applaud everything you've accomplished. I also greatly appreciate where there's a change from what you're doing for yourself and your entrance into leadership, and it went from me to we. I'd like to take the opportunity, you as a parent-child relationship, what did you accomplish the most in these years of incarceration? And what were some of the big challenges to that parent-son relationship? And I guess I'm asking if both of you could comment on that, please.
You know, I'll just say, like, for the beginning of my incarceration, I was more selfish and worried about, like, what's going on with me, like, am I gonna ever get out? Am I gonna be able to like, mainly in the beginning, it was like all the appeals process, and you know, they come to see me, and like I said, I held everything inside so much that it was so kind of selfish. It was hard to even like take an interest in their lives and stuff like that. And you know, a lot of the times I complain about my circumstances, and at some point it's when, you know, when I started taking accountability more, I noticed like how, you know, really, you know, like terrible I've been to everybody, but especially, but all, you know, my family, the ones that stuck by me the most, and you know, and I know it was hard for them too, because like she said before, like I didn't, like, I mean, I had a good family. I didn't give anyone any reason to think I'd do something like that. And then another big, huge regret of mine is just not being able to accept responsibility, you know, right off the bat, and kind of give everyone a chance at closure and a chance to heal, and, you know, or begin trying to heal, especially Robert Anderson's loved ones, but really it held back, you know, my relationship with my family as well. And they never got a chance, because I was always kind of stringing them along to the next appeal, and kind of making everyone my enemy. And when I finally did take accountability, it was, you know, I felt like there was healing. I was able to, you know, apologize to my family, and I feel like that's when we started to have some growth. Is you know, son and mom, son and dad.
Yeah, so I also would like to add to that is that, you know, at some point in time, he started to help me, you know, just in his own growth and the way he could see things differently or encourage me and say, yeah, I did do the right thing, or I was a good mother, and, you know, just other thing that happened to us in our family, like when my youngest son passed away, you know, and was very supportive, and I got to talk my feelings through with him. He was an adult now, you know, he was a grown man, and, you know, he got to talk to me, and he went through a horrible thing. I mean, he had to come and get picked up in chains, you know, to come and see his little brother that he hadn't seen, you know, grow up. And it was difficult, but he did it. I mean, he would never have not come, you know. It meant a lot to him to say goodbye. So he knows what it is to lose someone. And then maybe that's a part of the realization of what he had taken away from another family, you know. So I don't know, he just evolved, and that was around the same time. I mean, that was 2011. So I mean, he just grew in leaps and bounds since then. So that's maybe part of it. But anyway, he helped me a lot, and he has ever since.
Thank you. Thank you. One more follow-up question, if I may. You're going to be living together. You're going into release together, and you're going into release from prison in your home, in the same community where the crime occurred. Any challenges you see living together after release, or any challenges to relationship to the family upon release, and how might they be addressed?
I don't see any challenges living with my family. You know, they've been supportive my whole stay here, and you know, I want to be able to be in a situation where I can, you know, I can start helping them and you know, make my own living, and, you know, kind of help out around the house. And, you know, I don't anticipate living here too long. I hate to put a number on it, but I was just thinking somewhere around 6-8 months. And I still want to live in the Minneapolis area. And I don't, you know, as far as, you know, Mr. Anderson's family, you know, I'm humble, like as humble as you can get. Like, I'm not gonna have, like, I'm just gonna, if I ever do run into someone, you know, it's just gonna be, you know, apologetic. You know, I don't foresee having any problems like that.
Mrs. Peterson, would you care to respond in any way?
Well, I think that we're able to communicate, you know, if there was anything, I would say something. If I thought that he was doing anything that he shouldn't be doing, I'd talk to him about it. And I feel like I would just be open. I think it's very important to be open. And I think he would be open too. I'm not afraid to address anything with them. I mean, I want to help them in any way that I can, and helping them is just being honest and truthful. If I was uncomfortable, I'd tell them.
Yeah, and that's another big difference in mine with like, you know, support people. Whereas back then, if someone tried to help me or give me some advice, you know, I disregard it, kind of shut down on them. Whereas now you know, I'm receptive to advice. I listen to people's thoughts, opinions, and you know, I'm willing to have the conversations as opposed to just shutting down completely.
Thank you. I'm very grateful for your being together and grateful for the example, both individually and as a relationship that you provide. Thank you.
Mr. Pedersen, I don't have any questions. I think you've done a great job. Just a comment. I agree with Commissioner Schnell. I think you're so wise to take your time with Amanda, and I hope that you will do couples therapy, as I think you said to the psychologist or somewhere in here I read that you were hoping you'd do that, and I hope you follow through.
Other comments, questions?
I did have one question, or actually just looking for a little clarification, potentially. In the comprehensive risk assessment, and I recognize I think it's probably 16 or 17 months old now. But in that, under the section that talked about your substance use, which I think is fairly well established, even by you here, that had a really significant contributing factor to just a lot of the problems that you encountered, and even the night of the offense. But one of the lines says, "I would never have considered killing someone before if I hadn't been drinking." So can you talk about that just a little bit to help me just make sure that I'm understanding that correctly?
Well, I'll say even in my mindset back then, as messed up as my thinking was, and the type of people I was trying to fit in with, I believe had I not been drinking, I would have, you know, I would have known better than to act on that. Like I think I would have had a lot more common sense. And I think I'm not going to blame alcohol for it, you know, but I do think it was a significant factor because, you know, when I used to drink back then, I drink, you know, to blackout, and all common sense would kind of go out the window. So that was kind of my thinking on that. Like I just don't think I'd ever do something like that sober, even when I was, you know, when I had criminal thinking, when I was kind of committing crimes. I think I would have thought better of that had I not been drinking. And like I said, it wasn't the only factor, but it did play a big role.
Okay. I thank you for the clarification.
All right, not seeing any other questions. Mr. Peterson, before the board begins discussion and deliberation about next steps, I want to briefly provide the floor to you to provide any final comment you'd like.
You know, like I've been saying, you know, I can't change or make up for what I did, but I have, you know, I've put in a lot of work and I've made all these changes, and there's a history of it, and, you know, 10 plus years. I've been able to transition seamlessly from Stillwater to Faribault, from Faribault to Lino, and then from Lino to here. Like I feel like I'm ready. Like I'm ready for the responsibility. I can take it on, and I'm just ready for the next step. And I just really appreciate, to be moved on to the next step, and that's about all I have.
Thank you for that. At this time, I'm going to close the discussion. During board discussion and deliberation, the board will not entertain any questions or allow interruptions. And with that, I'd open the floor to the board for discussion and next steps.
Well, the options would be either halfway house or directly moving in with his mother, and I would recommend a halfway house as part of the transition.
Which would be a work release placement, yeah.
I too would like to see that as kind of the next step, just in the continued step down. I think it kind of follows the trajectory that I think we've often used in these cases. And honestly, I think even in what he was in his letter and kind of what he's seeking, I think there was recognition, not to do it too fast. So I too would support that. And if we can have more discussion, or I would even offer that as a motion to move to continued step down, move to work release. If we're looking for a time frame, I would set a review in. I'd set a review in a year, because I think it takes 90 to 120 days to get to work release. That allows for 8 months of work release, then come back and see the board. So that would be my motion.
I would second, yeah, I'd second too.
So there's a motion and a second to continue that movement with a denial of parole, move to work release, and continue him for 12 months, at which time he'd be seen by the board again. I would just wonder if there would be support for the addition of, to engage in that couples kind of work as they're doing this, just because I think that is a big transition to be involved in. And I think work release could be an opportunity where that could actually be done.
I would sure support that.
Yep, agreed.
Yeah. All right. So there is a motion and a second, and I would just add the caveat in this one that remaining discipline-free and fully complying with work release and institution rules while you're still there would be a part of this. To the motion, Board Member Bray.
Yes.
Board Member Earhart.
Yes.
Board Member Larson.
Yes.
Board Member Ramstead.
Yes.
Board Member Nelson.
Yes.
Board Member Struford.
Yes.
And Schnell votes yes. Unanimous vote in support of moving you forward to work release. We'll be communicating with you and work release staff there in terms of coordinating a transfer time. And we'll get that worked out, and you'd be seen by the board in a year from now. Any questions about that?
So it's, what is it, 90 to 120 days before the transfer?
Well, we'll see. We'll see what work release can work out. It depends on bed availability and where and some of those sorts of things. So as soon as we can get that, it could be a little sooner than that, 60 days. It just depends. And,
well, would you have any idea where I'd be going, or do I have any influence on that, or is it just kind of?
You can have some conversation, but depending upon where, and it could take longer to find you a bed depending upon the program. So work release staff will be connecting with you at some point in time here and discussing those thoughts, and if there are any other issues that we need to address on our part, we would also look at that as a factor in consideration. But work release staff will talk with you about that. Anything else?
No, I just really appreciate the opportunity, and thank you.
Good. Well, we wish you well, and keep up the good work.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Good luck to you. All right, coming up on our last case, we'll take a quick break and give people a chance to use the restroom and so forth, and we'll come back and get to the last case. I thought it was really great. I thought it was so cool. I think it would be such an interesting thing to be involved in. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, I thought that was so, I appreciate you sharing.
Yeah,
It was really-
I'm glad it was
Yeah,
helpful.
it was really good.
I'm glad it was helpful. I saw a plan for the execution of justice. Trial of the people killed for the person killed.
Oh, really?
The tension that produced that jury. It was acquitted.
Do you have an idea of where?
They just do a great performing arts program. And a violin virtuoso.
By the time we see it set up.
Interesting.
The last one was in.
Yeah, they're and find some.
So.
Yeah.
Like Doris Prince Goodwin is going to be there.
I will make note of it
Last week.
and.
Next year, Burns can raise years.
Wow. Wow. That's incredible.
So, yeah, so I mean, they
It
just.
all works and works.
Keep-
Right.
Waiting on Don and Jody.
Yeah. What's that?
Just waiting on Don and Jody.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want to go first or how do you want to do it?
Oh,
Okay.
Go if you were.
I do
So
sense that we
we ask you questions. So. Okay.
Okay.
Go.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrew Carlson. I'm the Assistant Director of the Hearings and Release Unit. We are here to review Mr. Lewis Alford, who is present here at Central Office, along with your attorney advocate, Ms. Jane Ann Murray. Thank you both for being here today. Also with us today is our Commissioner and Chair of the Supervised Release Board, Mr. Paul Schnell. Members Cheryl Ramstead, Christine Bray, Joe Earhart, juvenile expert Jody Nelson, juvenile expert Donald Strufert are here as well. And then member Andrew Larson is participating by video. Our records indicate that on November 3rd, 2005, New Brighton Police responded to smoke that was coming out of a trailer located on Morris Street northwest of New Brighton, Minnesota. Firefighters arrived and they extinguished the fire. Inside the structure, police discovered the deceased body of Douglas Miller, a 32-year-old father of four. Mr. Miller had sustained obvious blunt force injuries to his head and stab wounds to his body. It was determined that Douglas Miller suffered from multiple injuries, including a broken nose, fractured skull, 18 blunt force wounds to his head, 17 sharp force injuries to his back, head, legs, and hands. Douglas Miller's death was ruled a homicide. Police soon learned that 17-year-old Lewis Alford and his 23-year-old brother, Jeremy Alford, had been living with Mr. Miller, and that Mr. Miller's work van was missing. The police learned that the Alford brothers had previously resided in Iowa. Police then contacted the Iowa authorities and asked them to be on the lookout for them. The next day, Mr. Miller's van was found in the Cedar River, about 10 miles from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Within hours, Iowa authorities located Lewis Alford in his sister's apartment. Jeremy Alford was located later that same day in the attic of his mother's home. It was learned that Douglas Miller had evicted the Alford brothers for failure to pay rent and for stealing from him. Lewis Alford admitted to police that he and his brother had assaulted Douglas Miller. On March 6, 2007, in Ramsey County Court, Lewis Alford was sentenced to serve 367 months, that's roughly 30.58 years, for his conviction of second-degree murder. Lewis Alford was 17 years of age at the time of the offense. Mr. Alford's original confinement release date was March 30th, 2026, but due to recent legislative changes regarding individuals who were juveniles at the time of their offenses, Lewis Alford became eligible for release after serving 15 years of incarceration, which occurred on November 20th of 2020. As of today, Lewis Alford has served approximately 19 years of incarceration. On February 27th, 2024, Lewis Alford was reviewed by the commissioner in the advisory panel. That was his initial review. At that time, he was continued 18 months and allowed to transition to minimum custody and then work release during the continuance period. Today's review is the second review of his life sentence and first by the board. I turn this matter over to the board. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alford. How are you today?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Good. Do you want to just start by talking a little bit about the last 18 months, just what your journey has been over the last 18 months up to and including work release now?
Well, over the last 18 months, I completed the drug treatment mandate that you recommended me to do since it was incomplete. I continue with my education and continue taking self-improvement programmings. I got approved for Lino Lakes minimum, served on the ICWC. So I was going out into the community. I was working, doing landscaping, and anything that they needed help with out in Shoreview. And after completing that, I got approved for work release and been there. I've been working in the bridge program, been doing well, and getting all my appointments scheduled and everything arranged so I can transition properly.
So talk a little bit about how work release has been. What's been the best parts and what's been the most challenging parts?
I say the best parts about it is getting back out in the community and working and transitioning well. And I say the difficult parts, there's really not too much difficult parts because the caseworkers there, they're very helpful and helping assisting us and helping us get appointments that we need to reach.
Okay. Can you talk a little bit about if you were to be granted early release, what your plan would be?
Well, I plan to go to Elk River with Miss Laura Bell. She's graciously, said I can stay with her and where I can find employment, get a job, and start working towards my own stability and being successful out in the community. And she is here today to show her support.
That's great. Thank you. One of the things that I wanted to just ask is I want to just acknowledge the fact that we do have family members of your victim here today, and I just wanted to I think ask a question just that comes out of this, and one of the things that was indicated in the record and that was described during the course of this was the fact that there was, I think a sense that this was offense was at some level a level of self-defense. Can you self-defense or defense of your brother, whatever the case may be? Can you talk about and describe that and what your role was in the offense?
My role in the offense that I took part in an action that led to the loss of an individual's life, Mr. Douglas Miller, and I'm not proud of it. I thought about it a lot, and there's no excuse or reason that I can give or say that night it shouldn't have happened. It should not have led to what it did. And no, I'm deeply sorry for it. And I can't even imagine the pain that they've been through and all the moments and experiences that they have lost due to the fact of that night.
When you think about the pain of that experience, which I appreciate you acknowledging, but when you think about the pain of that experience, what do you envision the kind of the range of that pain being?
I mean, I could only imagine that they went through a lot of suffering, anguish, and strife by not having their father, their brother there with them. And I can only imagine it's indescribable for them.
When you think about the death that actually you were a part of causing, and the range of injuries and the manner in which he was assaulted that ultimately led to his death. As you look back on your involvement in that today through the lens of some 19 years later, how do you make sense of what happened that night?
I was a 17-year-old kid at that time, and I was involved with drugs, alcohol, and being under the influence at that time. I didn't have the proper train of thoughts to process things that were going on that night, and I believe that did play a major role in what happened that night. And through these years of taking all the self-improvement programs and learning about things that happen while you're under the influence and things like to better yourself and make sure you stay off drugs and alcohol and all that, it makes me realize that I was living a wrong lifestyle, and I endeavor to improve myself and continue to improve myself, so I'll never be put in a situation like that again.
When you think about the fact that you find yourself, at this precipice of facing the prospect of a potential for, relatively short potential early release and an absolute hard release that would come up next year. What would you say are the biggest changes that have happened in your life, in you, over the last 19 years?
The biggest changes in my life is growth, mental growth, maturity. I used all the programs that were there to find out who I am, what type of person I'm going to become.
And the program that had the biggest influence on who you are today, what was that, and how did that change you?
That was the Foundations program that I partook in St. Cloud when I first got to prison. It was a program that was combined with cycles of abuse, and the Foundations program it explored how your thinking is and different ways of thinking and how to actualize, your emotions and into a better process.
When you think about what's ahead for you, what do you speculate or is going to be the biggest challenge that you expect to face?
Being put in a social cast and maybe being viewed differently because of having a criminal record.
And how do you think you'll manage that?
I think I'll manage it pretty well.
In what way? How will you do that?
I'll continue doing what I need to do so I can be successful and get into a career and work that job and hopefully one day own my own business.
And can you talk a little bit? You talk about going to Elk River, and I think there's also reference to at some point the potential of wanting to pursue or at least consider an interstate transfer to Iowa.
I think we're going to stay in Elk River.
Okay. So that's kind of the plan is,
That's the plan.
and talk to us about why that is. What prompts that to be the focus?
Well, I got friends there, Miss Laura and Daniel Bell, and I think by having them there with me and helping me through stuff and help guiding me is going to be very beneficial for my transition.
Okay. And you wouldn't have had that if you returned to Iowa with family members?
I would. There's just some extended family members that are down there that I would rather not be around because their involvement or things that might come towards me, I wanted to stay away from.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. I'm gonna just turn to Ms. Murray and just ask for you to provide whatever input you want, and we'll just open it up to the board to ask questions of Mr. Alford and or you.
Thank you, members of the board, Commissioner. My clinic has represented Lewis since 2021. We submitted a clemency petition for him in 2022. I don't know if you have had an opportunity to review it, but it has an extensive description of Mr. Alford's background, his really tragic youth, born prematurely because his mother was in a coma, having been beaten up by his father, and a lifetime of witnessing his father's abuse of his mother, moving to 8 different states, totally dislocated environment, no formal long-term schooling, essentially taken over by his brother, who when his brother was 18, to be raised by his brother. And Lewis now was 13 when that happened. So they were basically runaways and survived by selling drugs together. I'm not trying to throw all the blame on his brother. I think that Mr. Alford has been failed on so many levels by family, parents, society. But it is really a horribly tragic background that was the backdrop to that awful day when the victim died. I just want to point out that he was acquitted of premeditated murder. Had he not been charged with first-degree murder at 17 and certified as an adult, everything could have been so different. This man who was really a child could have been handled so much more differently by the juvenile justice system than he was by the adult system. But because he was certified as an adult, even though ultimately acquitted of that adult charge that required mandatory treatment as an adult, he ended up being treated as an adult when he was convicted of second-degree murder and ending up in state prison. And he, very diminutive, went in with 7th grade education, I believe, when he went into prison. Poor literacy skills. I mean, it's almost extraordinary, the man that we see now today, almost 20 years later, given who went into prison, short, diminutive stature, poor skills, very little education, and obviously a target for the kinds of abuse that occurs in prison, in adult prison. And we see somebody who has emerged with an associate's degree, he has that here, someone who has learned skills, somebody who has done programming to address the problems that led to this whole concept of the cycle of abuse and sort of people understanding the cycles they've been in and what could lead them into bad paths. Drug abuse treatments that you got early on in Cloud, and got his GED, got his associate's degree. But then I think one of the most beautiful things about Lewis is he started mentoring other inmates. He does ESL training. He trains others in GED. We attached to our clemency petition several letters from other inmates talking about the role he had played in giving them guidance and grounding. So this is somebody who's going to be able to be a solid leader in society. I would say I've known him a long time now, obviously, and my students have known him a long time. The ones who worked on this have graduated, so this is why I'm here. But we really see a moral grounding in him, a moral foundation, and somebody who understands the awfulness of what he was involved in and what he did that night, but also the importance of working through that remorse and rehabilitation by being a better person and being the best person he can. I don't know how easy that is for the victim's family to hear that, because they're hearing, for them, their family member isn't here to do anything. And I think that's why it's so hard for them to hear about what perpetrator to them has achieved in prison. I can imagine how hard it is for you to hear that. But to the extent that that is the focus of this board, I want you to see the man to become. I just see someone who's really extraordinarily used the opportunities of prison to try to be a better person. And I believe he's going to be a great person when he's out. I have met and spoken with many times with Laura Bell, who is this adoptive mother who I think wants to take him under her wing.
Just have you hold the mic up a little.
Sorry,
so we
and
can
she's
hear.
here anyway. Laura Bell, she's here. If you want to speak with her, she would be happy to speak with you. I do believe there is a solid place for him to go, for him to be able to start that process of being a productive member of society. I strongly believe that he's going to do that. And we also submitted a psychological report prepared by our forensic psychiatry department in our clemency petition. I have copies of it here if anybody wants to read it, but
It's in
we've
the
got it.
file.
Excellent. Dr. Sloan believed, based on everything she had reviewed, that his potential for future offending, particularly future violence, is very low. So we, based on that, and obviously I'm happy to answer any questions. We ask that you parole him today.
All right. With that, I would open the floor to the board for any questions people may have.
Mr. Alford?
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Even though you're well on your way to freedom, if you can call anybody free, and have accomplished a great deal, it's really important for you and for society that you fully and completely acknowledge your role in the offense. And I have read your entire record, and I realize that you have the facts in there, but I'd like to ask some questions about what you personally did in the murder of this victim. And the reason I want to go into a little depth about it is because it's, as you said, probably yourself, senseless, but it seemed quite sadistic. And first, could you just state your motive?
My motive was protection and protection of my brother.
Protection from what?
From my brother being attacked and me being attacked.
Did either of you
So
suffer
can
any
you, Joe, can
injuries?
you use the mic?
We suffered no injuries that caused harm. We did have some scratches on us and marks on our back, but nothing that was.
Do you recall the murder scene as you left it before you set the place on fire? Do you recall how it looked? I'm not asking you. I would like for Mr. Alford to answer this himself. Do you recall the murder scene?
I do recall the murder scene. However, I did not start a fire, and I was, respectfully, I was acquitted of the arson charge.
The scene must have been horrendous. Do you recall how it looked yourself?
Yes.
Can you imagine if a family member had walked in, can you imagine how someone would have felt to walk in and find their loved one in that scene?
I imagine they would be very grief-stricken. They would be horrified, and they'll probably have a wide array of emotions that built up inside of them.
How long do you think that would last for them?
Probably all their life, ma'am.
Why did you, and we're not talking about your brother here, but why did you go to the extent of this overkill? And again, what was your personal motive? What did you get out of this? What did you go into it expecting?
I mean, while being under the influence at the time, I wasn't in the right mind to properly think. And my reactions was not of a person with a clear mind at that time. And as far as getting anything out of it, I got nothing out of it.
What did you go into it expecting?
I didn't expect anything. I was in fear for myself and fear for my brother.
What fear was this person threatening to kill you, or did he have a gun, or?
I was the first one to be attacked. And when my brother saw that, my brother he started attacking. And when I left, because I walked out, if you read the report, when I walked back in.
Did
Mr.
your brother
Miller-
remain inside when you
Yes.
walked out?
Yes. And when I walked back in, because I was like, I got to see what's going on. When I walked back in, Mr. Miller was on top of my brother with a knife. And that's when I hit, punched, and threw things at Mr. Miller to get him off of my brother.
Did you and your brother try to leave at any point?
When we were being attacked, or
When you before Mr. Miller was dead,
before he was dead?
before the victim died?
No, during the altercation, I was the only one that walked out of the house.
And
Because
did you and your brother realize that he was still alive when you set his home on fire?
I didn't know if he was alive or dead when I walked out.
And
As far as setting a fire, I did not set a fire.
did you see a purpose for setting a fire? I mean, did your brother tell you why there need to be a fire?
No, ma'am.
And did you or your co-defendant brag about this offense afterwards?
No.
That's all I have right now. Thank you.
I just have one question about just in this line of questioning. Was there a point at which Mr. Miller attempted to leave the house?
No.
Okay. Okay. There was just some evidence that indicated that he may have. And just there was marks that were left on his head that appeared to come from a bottom of a pop can or something like that. Does that ring a bell? Do you remember that?
I mean, I did throw a case of soda pop when I saw him on my brother.
Okay. But there was no other use of can as part of the assault itself, like an individual can or anything like that?
No, I believe in the report, it says there was trauma that was done with a metal bar.
Okay. Other questions?
Yeah, Mr. Elford, I'm just curious why you didn't write a letter to the board.
I concur. Yeah.
During trial, and when at the end of trial, when they let the victim's family member, Douglas Miller's family members, spoke, one of the things they said is that they never wanted to hear from me. And then getting involved with restorative justice, and I just wanted to respect their wishes, and I didn't want to bring up any emotions or anything that could make them feel even worse or to them. And so that's why I chose not to. And Mr. Dan Kornick, my caseworker that was in Lino Lakes, gave me a video visit with one of the restorative justice members and previously incarcerated restorative justice member. They spoke about it, and when I told him what it was and how what happened, he's like, well, no, I understand that, and I understand that you want to respect their wishes, and you don't. He said, I know I didn't have to do a apology letter, but to still explore the possibility of it. And I just wanted to be respectful and respect their wishes about not wanting to hear anything from me.
Well, I'm just missing the point because I think you were asked or given the opportunity to write a letter to us, the board, nothing to do with the victims.
2 letters, yes.
2 letters.
Right on, 2 letters. Go.
Not the apology letter, the
Yeah,
letter to the board.
a letter to the supervised release board.
I thought I'd put one in and sent it to you guys during the first meeting that I had.
I didn't get it.
What would that, did you meet a year ago?
That would have been probably when I had when there was he was seen the first time, I would guess. That's
that
where
letter
it
when you
was.
were seen the first time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't get to us. And so that's my question. I think you answered it.
But
Thank
the
you.
information was, you declined the opportunity to give it to another session, is my understanding of the last information I received. You had the opportunity for that letter to be submitted to me today, and you did not take that opportunity. I missed the content of that letter very much also.
Well, I'm sorry, as his attorney, I was not told this at all.
Well,
What's
and I
the
think we're
possibility?
asking,
Yeah.
at least I'm asking you, and it sounds like, Mr. Alford, you don't remember that opportunity.
In this process, you did submit, I believe there was one submitted in the first case, in the first review.
I think when I got told about it, that there was such short time, I was like, is it going to be all right if I use the same one that I submitted beforehand, since it's still on the record and it's still in file? And from my understanding, it seemed like that was going to be okay. And I apologize if.
No, I just wondered.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mr. Alford, how did you get to know Laura and Daniel Bell? And how long ago was it? How would you describe your relationship with them?
I met Laura and Daniel Bell through their son, and obviously back in 2009. And from there, talking, meeting, and our relationship has grown, and she's actually became almost like a adopted aunt, second mom. She's always there for me. She helps me out with finding out information, and like I said, she's graciously invited me into her home to stay so I can get on my feet and do what I need to do to become a productive member of society.
Where did you meet?
I met her through her son.
Where did you meet her son? How did you know?
Her son was incarcerated as well.
Have you stayed in touch with him?
Yeah.
And what is your relationship currently to your brother who is the co-defendant?
I have not spoken to my brother since I left Stillwater. We wrote a few letters.
Thank you.
Just a follow-up. Do you know if that couple that is going to allow you to stay with them, do they use alcohol or substances?
They do not, from my understanding, they do not use it. And Miss Laura is actually here today, and I'm sure she'll answer any questions you have for her.
Well, I'm asking you,
That-
because that's important to you, as I understand it. You wouldn't want to live with people that are casual drinkers, I would imagine, or maybe you would.
No, not at all. And I believe that they don't use anything.
Thank you.
Other questions?
I'm struggling with what do you see as the qualities that you use or the skills you use to develop trust? Or people trust you? I think that's a common issue after any incarceration. What can you do? What have you done to develop trust?
Integrity,
Which is,
doing what's right, no matter what.
how do I see that? How are you going to develop trust with me? How do I know your integrity?
Well, you can see like through my records with taking part in the programs that they offered and being able to go through that and succeed and continue to succeed in doing what's right, even when people are around or not around,
Okay.
that I will be a successful person and I will not fail.
Thank you. And that helps. Okay. So the integrity or the standards of success were set by the Department of Corrections and you met them.
Yes.
Would there, I guess, have you had a chance to review, or has anyone gone over with you the 2 psychological assessments?
Are you referring to the MMPI?
You've had, I understand, 2 psychological assessments, one by Dr. Sloan and one originated by this committee. Have you seen either one of them?
I read them, yes.
What was the difference that you saw, or what was it, any contradiction in the 2, or what do you recall was there?
I believe the Dr. Sloan and both beyond Bonnie Bjork, they both state that my risk of violence is low. And I don't know if there's really any contradictions in there. I mean, there might be that I didn't see.
I haven't had a chance to read both, so I guess here's where I'm at, okay?
I don't know if there's any contradictions from what I've seen.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just was wondering where you have been living. Have you been at Damascus Way?
Yes,
And how is that going?
it's going well.
Okay. So you would be content to stay there until your supervised release date?
If that's the choice that you guys make today, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
One question from me, if I could. I think I had noted that you completed substance use disorder programming in 2024. Is that right?
Yes, that was the second one.
Okay, all right. So in there, I think you noted, or I made note that like you feel pretty confident. Relapse in the future is not going to be a concern. I think you indicated if you if you have struggles, like you'll reach out to family, friends, that sort of thing, but like you don't have I guess what I would call kind of that traditional relapse prevention plan. Is that correct?
And I will seek out a NA sponsor and an AA sponsor, so I can meet maybe like once a week or whatever they think is appropriate to meet.
Okay. All right. No, and that's helpful. That gives some context. I mean, as reading the written word, it you can draw the inference that you don't believe there will be any need for support, and after hearing that answer, that provides some reassurance that it's not something that you're just going to attempt to manage on your own, especially in light of I think even some family history and that sort of stuff. So I appreciate that that added context.
I do have one question, Mr. Alford. I think I read that you were a pipe carrier, are a pipe carrier
Yes, I was in Lino Lakes.
in Lino Lake. So I'm wondering about your resource of your spirituality and how you see that being a resource for you going forward
Well, I am
in your culture.
Yeah, I'm part Native American and part Mexican. And when I find the individual that I think will be beneficial and have more knowledge in the religion and the faith, to meet with them on a constant basis so I can learn more, study more, and grow. And currently I am speaking with Gina K. Miranda, and she recently just visited at Damascus Way 2 days ago to supply me with books and resources so I can go over.
One more quick question. How long would you envision staying with your friends?
Probably not long, just enough time to where I can get into my own housing, and then I can start living on my own and becoming a independent individual.
Thank you.
Anything else?
One more, one comment I made when I read your assessment for this committee. In the summary, they referred to some a recommendation of your awareness of stress and how that's communicated. Would you agree? And I guess I got the assumption that that's another area that still could use a little more attention. How does that fit with your frame or with your view, or how might that happen if that recommendation has integrity?
For like you asking like what I would do if I start getting stressed out?
How do you know you're stressed? Is what I understand the question or the concern that was identified.
How I would know is like my train of thought. Like, am I thinking properly? Am I overthinking anything? Am I internalizing anything? And if that starts to happen, I would reach out to family, friends, and even resources that I'd be involved with to speak about it and get the proper direction.
Right. How has your stress gone up or down in the time you spent with us today?
I mean, my stress level is, it's pretty moderate because I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm doing very well.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Anything else? Hearing none, Mr. Alford, before the board begins the discussion and deliberation about next steps, I want to briefly open the floor to you to make any final comment to the board about your thoughts about where you are and what you would like the board to do today.
I mean, I'd like to get approved to be released, and I hope that by you guys seeing like all the programs and everything I've took to improve myself, that shows that I have made the proper achievements while being incarcerated to be a better person in community and be successful out there.
Thank you. And with that, I will close the discussion, and during board discussion deliberation, the board will not entertain questions or allow interruptions. And with that, I would open the floor to the board to initiate this discussion.
I have a question, clarification. Does he have a hard out date in 2026?
Correct. March, whatever that
March
date.
30th, right?
30th as a hard out date.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
I do have concerns about his transition plan to live with a friend's parents. And partly because of the friend having met him in prison, that this is not the best environment. I don't know anything about that aspect of it, but it doesn't sound good. And also, if you become too dependent on someone, I'm afraid that he might end up not becoming independent. I'd like to see him do it on his own, if there's a way to do that.
Well, I'd like to make a motion, and I'm not sure I'm going to say this right, that my motion is to deny parole today and that he continue to live in work release until March 30th of 2026, if that's possible. I don't know if it is. And if he needs to go to phase 2, then maybe phase 2 would be the family in Elk River.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, there certainly is a lot of people who transition from work release to supervised release, but it really, that's a desire of the board or the motion, whatever your wish is.
Well, that would be the motion, that he stay on work release until his out date.
Second.
And I would just add 2 conditions, mental health and AA or some variation.
And by mental health, you mean just some level of mental health support?
Yeah, mental health support.
Okay. Any other thoughts, recommendations, concerns? One of the things I would point out, I think, as a really a positive thing. I am heartened by the fact that that Mr. Alford identified this change in going to Iowa, which I think really speaks to the fact of really looking at, not that where he would, I think it was his sister that he was going to live with would have been an issue, but that just knowing some of the tangential folks in the environment, and I really applaud him for thinking that through and recognizing that as a factor that could interfere the progress he has made. So there's a motion and a second. To the motion, Board Member Bray.
Yes.
Board Member Earhart.
Yes.
Board Member Larson.
Yes.
Board Member Ramstead.
Yes.
Board Member Nelson.
Yes.
Board Member Strufert.
Yes.
And Schnell votes yes. The motion prevails. So, Mr. Alford, we want to really encourage you to use this time and work release as a transition. Part of the issue, also just so that you're aware, is that it would take a minimum of 60 days even to request agent assignment. So just to know that's going to have to happen, and that can be coordinated during your work release time. But I want to just acknowledge and applaud the work you're doing, and would encourage you to continue on that positive trajectory. Any questions? Okay, thank you very much. All right, just to wrap up on the agenda side here, I want to first see if there is someone who would move approval of the July 11th, 2025 meeting minutes, assuming there isn't any changes that would be noted or needed.
I'll move.
Changes.
There's a motion and a second. It would have to be somebody who was at that one, because I think that was a,
Never mind.
is there a second on that one?
I'll second it.
All right, so we have a good second. And all in favor, let's signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, that passes. Is there anybody signed up for public comment? No public comment noted. The next meeting of the Supervised Release Board is Friday, August 22nd, and here at the DOC. And with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
and we're adjourned. Thank you all.
Put a second in there.
It's really.